All right, everybody, how are we doing? Bunfagum asked, "What if he was actually hurt?" That's so nice. Has anybody else asked if I was hurt or in trouble? Has anybody else been curious? Huh? No, everybody else just assumes that I'm just doing this for kicks. What if I told you that I was injured or close to being injured every single time that I'm late? How would you feel then? It's not true because what I'm usually doing is helping some old lady cross the street or saving someone from a burning building or something like that. But, you know, it'd also be nice to consider, well, what if Morj is, like, in the hospital? What if Morj is, been hit by a car? Things like that. Alex Sylvans, thanks for the 10. Morj, I never get to see your streams live. Well, welcome to the show, but I love your content. Thank you. Thoughts on Blackbeard sneaking on the Roger and Whitebeard conversation about the Void Sentry? Do you think Blackbeard will... Blackbeard... Was... Shit. Did Blackbeard... No, there's no chance that Blackbeard was there, right? Because that was a very private conversation. It looked like... I'm so confused, because I thought it... Like, it happened in a place where there were lots of sakura petals, right? But that place wasn't Wano. So I'm curious if Oda initially planned for it to be Wano, but then when he drew it... Because Oda was thinking about Wano quite a bit during Marineford. I mean, he even... like random references. Ace saying, Ace having given Oars Jr. a hat that he learned to weave in Wano, right? Random stuff like that. So the Sakura petals, Wano's the only place that it would make sense that it would have been. But then it turned, and everything was lined up for it, Roger, Whitebeard, Odin, they're all sailing together and all that stuff in the Odin flashback. Not sailing together, but, they're all interacting in the Odin flashback. Odin's got to go back to Wano. The Roger pirates even make a quick stop at Wano, but all of it ended up timing out to not the Roger Whitebeard conversation not happening at Wano. I wonder if it's one of those things where Oda... Because, Oda, he doesn't plan every single thing down to a T. He probably knew it's that, in the far future during the Wano arc, I'll have some flashback, which is going to involve Roger, it's going to involve Whitebeard. Maybe he had thought of Odin and everything at that point. So maybe Oda, way back then during Marineford, was thinking about, it'd be cool. Like, let me set this conversation between Roger and Whitebeard this conversation between Roger and Whitebeard. Let me set it in Wano, right? And then fast forward several hundred, 500, 400 chapters, and it's like maybe Oda right then realized, like, while he's actually writing the flashback, that it doesn't line up at any point for Roger and Whitebeard to both be at Wano. I don't know exactly what it was, but the Sakura petals were fairly deceptive, I think, in that sense. Yeah, anyway. What's the rest of your thing? Did Blackbeard sneak on the Roger Whitebeard conversation? I don't think so. I don't think he was there for that. I think, however, Blackbeard learned it must have been through his own means. Because we know that one of his hobbies Oda dropped in an SBS was studying history. So it sounds as though Blackbeard actually learned some shit himself. Do you think Blackbeard had the same dream as Luffy, just in a twisted way? Yes, I do. Also, thank you, Alex Sylvans, for joining the Yonko. You get access to the Morjcast, the unfiltered, the podcast with my unfiltered thoughts that I release every single Friday. You will be getting, in this content-starved month, with no One Piece, no nothing to fuel us, I think the Morjcast is the way to go, just in my humble opinion. I think that the Morjcast is a steady diet of fun discussions and outlandish ideas, etc. that comes out every Friday. Just my opinion. Available for Yonko tier members or a certain tier of patrons and up. So you can join through YouTube, you can join through Patreon, whatever. But I'll always shout this out. Anyway, thanks for joining, man. I appreciate it. Oh, let's get the stream likes to 100. Let's get the stream likes to 100. I almost completely forgot. Oh my god. We're going to have to shut down the whole stream if we don't get the stream likes to 100. Hatoko Johnson says, R.I.P. Morj, you'll be missed. Alright. Well, let's just be clear. I didn't actually get hit by a car or anything. Let's be clear. Thank you for the 20, though. I appreciate it. I guess it was a farewell super, so Yeah, I appreciate it. Joe, thanks for the 5. I think Zoro should temporarily leave the Straw Hats and go on a swordsman journey to find himself like Guts and Sasuke. Dude, if he didn't do that in Wano... I mean, the closest you can get to that is Wano, and even in Wano is pretty much pointless. I feel like nothing changes about Zoro's story in Wano at all. If he was with the Straw Hats in Act 1 and Act 2 versus him being off doing his own thing in Act 1, Act 2. The only difference is, I guess, not having Enma versus having Enma, but that's kind of... like, that could have just been given to him regardless, you know? It's kind of... I don't know. I felt very disappointed by that because it just felt like why did Zoro even get his own storyline in Act 2? You know, what was the point of it? Why was he kept separate? Why was it important that he interacted with Toki? You know, why was it important that he developed a grudge against Orochi? Why was it important that he bonded with Yasue? It just, the king fight plays out exactly the same if none of that shit happens. It's exactly the same. Because him developing Conqueror's Haki and stuff, that was just him, like, interacting with the sword, right? He could have just been given the sword, to be honest. Let's see. Beyond that, it was a wandering swordsman journey. You know, it was his own swordsman journey, but it was just very irrelevant. So I don't think he gets that again later on in the story, personally. Caleb Souders, thanks for the 10. Your content is great. Thank you very much. I'm happy that you aren't hurt. Thank you very, very much. What's your spice to use? I don't know what that means. What's my spice to use? What does that mean? Is that a new slang thing that the kids have? I thought I'm pretty up to date on the slang. I think I use Twitter enough that I know what's going on, but I've never heard of the spice thing. What's the spice thing? Someone explain. Unless you're literally talking about spice, in which case I don't know. I don't have a signature spice that I like. Talha, thanks for the donation. Turn a stream into a mini Reverie. Into a mini Your Community Reverie. No, I cannot. Are you saying, like, have viewers come live onto the stream? That is a very, very, very dangerous idea. Because you never know what people are going to say. For those of you who don't remember, when I hosted the actual Reverie, during the hosting of the actual Reverie, I think the stream code or the something like that was actually displayed in the bottom something corner. So partway through the stream, people started entering and joining without my approval. And I could kick them, obviously, but at first it was towards the very end of the stream that viewers started catching on, so they started joining. Random people started joining. At first I thought it was funny. Then after a little bit, like, some literal child joined, and I was like, this is kind of dangerous. I don't want us to get in trouble for saying some shit to this child or something like that. And then it started really going off the rails when some people in my street, like, YouTubers started, like, cursing at the kid and stuff. I don't know. I had to basically quickly shut that shit down. So I don't know exactly what would happen if I let viewers just join the stream. But I do think that there's a tremendous amount of potential for shit going off the rails and basically getting my entire channel canceled. I don't know. Burr, it's cold. Thanks for the 2. The Viz translation changes a lot of ideas/theories. Can we talk about the Viz translation real quick? Because I'm confused. I'm not going to pull it up on stream just because I think the chapter is a bit too fresh. And you don't want to pull up, you know, a very recent chapter on stream. That's just playing with fire in terms of a stream getting taken down or whatever. But if I'm being honest, I'm fucking confused. To begin with, the mother frame... can someone who understands Japanese clarify this for me? Anybody? Because I genuinely don't get it at all. Because my assumption would be that when people say that, look, the L and the R in Japan, they mix together, they can be swapped. I get that. Wouldn't that be the case mainly for Japanese words? You know what I mean? Like, because if the word in Japanese is literally fire or flame, then why in the English version would that be translated to frame, right? Because aren't we taking what... I guess what I'm saying is, like, if the word is like Robin, right? Nico Robin, right? That is her actual name. Therefore, it can be spelled, I suppose, in English, like, with an L or an R. That's why you see sometimes, like, in English subs and stuff, it being spelled out with an L, right? Lobin. Whatever, right? But I'm saying the actual word in Japanese, it's either one or the other. They're either talking about fire or they're talking about frame, like a computer, like motherboard frame or something like that. I don't even know what, like, frame, like a picture. Like, these are two separate words in Japanese that is then being translated to English. So once it's being translated into English, why would the L and the R be swapped? Do you guys get what I'm saying? I'm just going to skip ahead to see what the comments on this are real quick. Kalal Brown, thank you for joining on the Pirate King tier. I very much appreciate it. I've said this before, and I'll talk about it in this week's upcoming Morjcast. For people who are the Pirate King tier, which is the the highest tier of support. Highest tier of support. There's a separate podcast that I want to do once a month. If people are open to that as being the biggest benefit for the Pirate King tier, I will roll with that. If people don't like that idea, I'll think of something else. It's Mother Flame according to Sandman. So then why would it be changed in English to Mother Flame? I don't get it. Someone explain? Yeah, same as Zoro Zolo. I get that. But I don't know. People are saying it's I get it now. It's probably in English in the Japanese version, says Vapor Babe. That would make the most sense. So it was already Englishified or whatever. Okay. It's a phonetically transcribed to Japanese, but it's an English word, that's why. So then what's the correct answer? What's the correct answer then? Behanoitz is because Stephen Paul is an incompetent buffoon of a translator. I think he's really smart in terms of accuracy, and that's ultimately what most of us use the Viz for, right? Most of us read TCB to get the actual reading experience, and then most of us check Viz as an accuracy check, right? So in that sense, Stephen Paul is a good translator. But in the sense of, like, actually creating a readable, like, engaging product, Viz is terrible. But, like, let's look at the the other thing, right? The other controversy, which was the warrior god versus godhead thing. In that sense, what's correct there? Warrior god versus godhead. Warrior god is way more badass, but, you know, sometimes TCB just makes things more badass because it sounds cooler, not because it's what's actually being written. MPA Slick, thanks for being a Yonko tier member for 8 months. Senor Morgan Freeman, any thoughts of games that were shown over the weekend? I'm looking forward to Persona 3 Reload and FF7 Rebirth, like the stream. I have no thoughts on the games. I've been kind of tuned out in terms of my video game interest ever since I took a solid break from my brief stint of playing several FromSoft games. I should get back into it. I was thinking of picking God of War during this One Piece break, just as a fun side thing. Hatoko Jansen, thank you for the 50. Holy shit, R.I.P. Morj for 50. Oh my god. Is this... Maybe I should just pretend I died more often. People really come out with large donations for that, it seems. Thanks, man. I really, really appreciate it. I'm sorry to disappoint, but I'm not in fact dead. I did survive, but if you want to believe that I passed away... and then I'm streaming from beyond the grave. That is okay with me, considering the size of the donation you just gave. Appreciate it a lot. Thank you. Justin Holland, thanks for being a Yonko tier member for 8 months. 1, happy you aren't hurt. Thank you. 2, I wonder about the connection between Blackbeard and the Shadow Rulers, Imu and the Elders. Yeah, I am really interested. I would love to see a conversation between Blackbeard and one of the Gorosei. That would be, like... I think one of the questions asked maybe last stream was, who do you want to see interact the most? I think that's actually up there, and that's something I hadn't considered before. Mother Flame equals ASL possible. Ace Sabo Luffy? I don't really understand that. What do you mean by that? Mother Flame equals Ace Sabo Luffy? Like, they all represent... I literally don't understand that. Mother Flame equals ASL. I don't get it, man. I don't know what that means. I'm sorry to disappoint, but I cannot answer that question. I don't know what that means. Uchek, thanks for upgrading to Pirate King. I don't know yet if I'm doing the extra podcast though as the extra bonus, but I still appreciate you joining. I guess wait and see if that's what it ends up being. Caleb Souders says, I meant favorite spice. What is that? I still don't get it. What does that mean? I don't have a favorite spice. Does everyone have a favorite spice? Is that a thing? I like salt. I like having salt on food. I think that's pretty fucking important, right? Zex545, thank you for the 5. Hey Morj, since Roger was a pirate for so long, what do you think his epithet was before having the title as the Pirate King? That's a great question. Maybe he didn't have one. Maybe epithets are like a newer thing. Because we didn't hear an epithet for... Well, no, Shiki had an epithet, which was Golden Lion. We haven't had one for Rocks. We haven't had one for... I guess Whitebeard is his... That's his epithet. It is Whitebeard. I don't know. I don't know what Roger's epithet would have been. That's a really good question. Maybe it's one that'll never be answered because it's possible Oda never thought about it either. Mahavid Sadegi, thanks for the 2. In Memories of Morj, in the Arms of an Angel. I guess this is just the stream where I died. Some streams, I'm told that I just had a kid. Some streams, I'm told that it's my birthday. Today's stream is the dead stream, where I did not survive to make it to the stream, despite what you guys are listening to right now. Let's get the stream likes to 200, because I passed away. Michael Goodwin, thanks for the 5. Have you seen the theory of where the wild things are? Yes. Plus the Gorosei /M. Yeah, I saw that. Art style is similar. Oda uses children's stories. Kid's dreams are out of anger. He rules 5 beasts. Kid dreams out of anger. He rules 5 beasts. I could see maybe some level of influence there. It's just that, like, where the wild things are, it's hard to explain. That's a very, it's a popular enough kids book. I think that most of us read it, but it's not like a classic fairy tale. Like, Oda draws from a lot of classic fairy tales throughout One Piece. This would be a very specific work. It's more of a modern kid story that, it's not even as popular as, I'd say, like Cat in the Hat or like Dr. Seuss books or something like that, So that's why it's a little bit more questionable to me. And it's not like a Japanese book or anything either. It's a Western work. That's why I'm a little bit more iffy on the thought that maybe that's something that Oda drew inspiration from. At the end of the day, it's like there's so many different fictional stories out there that almost any designs that Oda's throwing out, there's a possibility that it seems similar to some work of fiction that's already out there, So that's why I'm not trying to read too much into it just yet, where the wild things are unconfirmed reference. Ender Ayanami, thank you for upgrading your membership to Pirate King. Dude, I really, really appreciate you jumping up to that membership. Well, now we gotta figure out basically for sure whether or not we're doing that extra monthly podcast. I don't want you guys to feel disappointed about it, but we'll throw it around. We'll figure out exactly what type of benefit you guys would want for Pirate King tier. I think the extra monthly podcast is the best one that I would like to do, basically, and I think you guys might enjoy. Jake Jones, thanks for being a Yonko tier member for 3 months. Time for, of course, my monthly update. What? You have a beautiful analytical mind, and I love watching your videos. Oh, thank you very much. Even if you don't use that mind on Naruto. So I'm just not a Naruto fan, but I really, really, really appreciate the kind words. I'm not a Naruto hater, I don't think. I like parts of Naruto, but that's just not something I'm too interested in discussing. But thank you very much, and I'm glad you enjoy the One Piece content at the very least. Tofi2000, thanks for being a Yonko tier member for 7 months. Hey Max, not a question, but I hate when people use myths or historical references that Oda uses as if he structured the story around it, i.e. Hanuman. I don't think that... I'm sweating a little bit because I'm like, well, I just dropped a video talking about the Journey to the West inspirations, I think that in many cases, there, like, some inspirations and stuff like that are valid. But I think you've also got to consider how much is Oda actually going to delve into, like, there's a difference between having a nod to something versus straight up crafting a story around it. You know what I mean? Like, hey, let's use this as an example real quick. In in Naruto, right? Sasuke has a move called, I believe, Indra's Arrow, right? Is that correct? Sasuke, Indra. Yeah, it's just a move, right? And it's a reference to an Indian god. Indra Susanoo is, I guess, the full name and stuff like that. Yeah, it's just a reference to an Indian god. But that doesn't mean that Sasuke's actual story is like built around like that heavily tied to Indra or anything. Like, it's just a nod or a reference. It's kind of like Zoro using Ashura, stuff like that. So I don't view it as. I would agree in the sense that just because there's a nod to something doesn't mean that there's significant similarities or influence. It's just that it's cool to draw from mythology for ideas once in a while, just for the cool factor at the end of the day. Uchek, thanks for upgrading to Pirate King membership. I think I just covered you though. All right, let's catch up on the supers. Give me a second, please, and let's get the stream likes to 200. Bunfagum, thanks for the 7. How mad would you be if Luffy uses Gear 5th against Blackbeard, laughs at his provocations, Blackbeard mocking him over Ace, and says, "Isn't this fun, Blackbeard?" I just don't think I would really, really personally dislike that. I think that wouldn't happen with Luffy versus Blackbeard personally, because I think that would be robbing us of a much more profound, actual, person-to-person character conflict if Luffy's just laughing it off, because it basically avoids us ever getting to see that confrontation of how Luffy really feels over the whole Ace incident and how it affected him. Because when you're laughing about something, right, laughter is basically it's the, how do I say this, laughter is just universally, that is the sign that we give as humans that we are unaffected by something. That's what laughter is. When you're able to laugh something off, right? You can go back to One Piece Chapter 1 and it's the same thing. Shanks is laughing because drinks were spilled on him. What does laughter mean? When you can laugh something off, it's not a big deal to you. You don't care, right? That's what laughter is. That's why I think that Gear 5th is a dangerous concept in the story. I think it, I'm fine with it in the context of Luffy versus Kaido. I didn't love the tone that it set for the finale of that fight, but I also feel that at the end of the day, Oda wasn't trying to write a heavy arc in Wano. He just wasn't. That's why it didn't have a significant low point or midpoint or anything like that, where things got really bad for people. It was generally a very triumphant sort of momentum heading into the battle, with them all talking about the big party, being very excited, being very happy, etc. And that carried away all the way through the battle, with them basically never having any sort of major, you guys know what I'm talking about, basically, right? So the tone was fairly consistent. I mean, from the beginning, Hyogoro's like, we're gonna win, blah, 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 blah. And then all the way through, like, Luffy's laughing off all of Kaido's stuff. It was meant to just be a big triumphant victory. That's what Wano was, right? I'm like, cool. If, like, at least Oda stayed consistent in his tone from start to finish in Wano, it's not supposed to be a very heavy conclusion in Onigashima. It just isn't. But if it comes to something more personal, like Luffy versus Blackbeard or Luffy versus Akainu, then that's very different, because then you don't want laughter. You want your character to be affected and to show emotions beyond just laughing and joking, right? That is very important. So we'll have to wait and see. I do like the idea, though, that Blackbeard can negate Devil Fruits, which I think should solve a lot of that potential problem. I think that Haki is going to be much more important in the Blackbeard battle, and I think that Oda constructed it with that in mind. I like to think. Eric Terlada says, lol, Morj Wano takes classic. I mean, this isn't debatable, Eric. This is something that Oda himself released outright. Like, he literally acknowledged. He's like, I wrote Gear 5th the way I did because I don't want... like, I think lots of times shonen these manga these days are too serious. I wanted to write it more light and funny, which is why Gear 5th was a thing. That's literally something that he talked about when discussing Gear 5th. That's just what tone is. That's what laughter is. When Luffy's laughing, that's just the type of tone that's set. So for something like Luffy versus Blackbeard, Luffy versus Akainu, I should hope that it's something that means enough to him that he's not laughing it off. Gio, thanks for being a Yonko tier member for a month. Have a great stream and great day, Morj. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. let's move back a little bit. Hold on. Where did I... What was the last one? Fuck. No? Shit. I'm gonna have to pull up the other tab. I've lost the script. Alright. Where's this at? Let me pull up the other tab. Look at the, what do you call? Eric Gelado says it's more about your structure takes than Gear 5th. My structure takes are correct. They're factually correct. Wano had a very different structure than any other One Piece arc. I was wrong in that I assumed that it would have the same structure as other One Piece arcs. So I was incorrect overall in like my assumption of what it would be, which was the same as every story structure ever and every One Piece arc ever. But Oda went with a different structure for that arc. Who was the last person I answered? Give me a second here. Okay. We're at Lath. Thanks for the 5. Think the 5 elders and God's Knights could be a part of the original 20 kings and all had the immortality surgery performed on them. Do I think the 5 elders and the God's Knights could be part of the original? I don't think that the 5 elders... So the God's Knights, like... Figarland looks old as fuck. So I don't think that that's the case. I don't think that that's the case. Because Figarland looks old as fuck. I do think that... No, and I don't think that the Gorosei are immortal either. Because I think that they kind of made a big deal in 1086 about... how do I say... the notion that there's one guy that has mysteriously been alive forever. Okay? And I think with the Gorosei, Dragon, the Revolutionaries, like the Gorosei are public figures, so I think other people would have realized pretty early on if the Gorosei have been around forever. You know, like that would be a topic of discussion among Dragon and Sabo. The fact that this hidden figure, seems to be somebody that's been around since the Void Century, that seems to be a new idea to them, you know? So I don't think the Gorosei are immortal. I don't think so. Blaze, thanks for being a Yonko tier member for 2 months. Hey Morj, what do you think of Toki being part of Lily's mission? Maybe she was meant to literally lose the Poneglyphs to history with her devil fruit. That's an interesting idea. I don't know. There is the theory that Toki is Lily, but their design does, like, the people are saying the hair color is different from VV's and stuff like that, so I don't know. It would be an interesting idea if Toki and Lily were tied together. We still need the answers as to what happened with Toki and why she did everything that she did. What was she traveling to do? Why was she important to the story, etc. Oh, let's get the stream likes to 300. Let's get the stream likes to 300. I don't know. I think that at the very least, like, there's a theory I had about Toki, but I think now's not the time to share it. I don't think now's the time to share it. We'll get... I feel like we will circle back to her and a lot of missing bits, like, in Wano, just because the Pluton is still there. Yamato still has a character arc to go through there. At least it was implied. But I guess we'll see. Pete Garcia, thanks for the 10. Hey, Warge, I know the anime shouldn't matter. It doesn't. But I was rewatching clips, and I swear they gave Imu breasts when they sat down during their introduction. Could be pecs, but looks like breasts to me. I have nothing to say to that. It's the anime. I have literally nothing to say to that. Maybe. Tala, thanks for the 3. Could be some mods / regulars only for the Reverie. I'm gonna say I'm not doing a Morj community Reverie. It's not happening. There's too much that could go wrong, in my opinion. I think I would have to talk to people outside of it first to make sure that everyone's, like, not crazy, and then move from there. I don't know. Jay, thanks for the 5. For me, it's just a question of who will fight the Gorosei besides Sanji and Zoro. The rest of the crew won't be strong enough. Imu versus the Throne Thump. I do like to believe that Zoro and Sanji getting Gorosei matchups makes sense. I think the tricky thing is that God's Knights exist too, because if it was just the Gorosei, we're supposed to be talking about matchups, right? But there's a lot of other discussion going on just because we've got so much to talk about from that last chapter. Let's see if we can get to matchups in a bit. With the Gorosei, right? If it was just those 5, you could probably make some quick guesses. You could say that, okay, Saturn just gets taken out probably this arc, maybe. Let's pretend Saturn gets taken out this arc. So if Saturn gets taken out this arc, then we got 4 Gorosei left. So you could say Zoro and Sanji get 2 Gorosei. And then you just got 2 left. You're like, Dragon probably gets 1. And then there's one mystery one, and it's like, who gets that? Maybe Blackbeard gets it. Maybe Shanks gets it. Maybe like a Kid or a Law or a Kid Law team up or something. I don't know if they're still relevant or something like that. But you just need, like, there's only one person missing at that point to need a Gorosei matchup. But because God's Knights exist, suddenly it's like, well, now there's 9 other characters that need matchups. And why do the God's Knights have suspiciously the same number of characters as the Straw Hats? It's interesting. Caleb Brown, thanks for the 2. Imu needs the mother frame for Luffy's bounty poster. That's funny. Caleb Souders says, favorite mod. Thanks for the 2. I'm not answering that. Otherwise, all the other mods will quit. Apollo Kreese, good name. Thanks for the 10. Just joined stream. Morj, don't you think Blackbeard greater than Imu for One Piece's final conflict, both narratively and thematically? Imu is the face of status quo. Blackbeard is the face of dark, evil future world. It depends, because to me, it's kind of like, I could see it going either way. It's just that 2 factors right now. The manner in which Im is being built up, it feels as though Im is supposed to be ultimate, like the end all be all. So it's the manner in which Im is being built up. The order of operations kind of also points towards Im and the Gorosei, etc., being the final villains, because we get the sense that Laugh-Tale and the Pirates conflict seems like it's on its way to being resolved first. That's the race to One Piece. And then on top of that, in terms of power, yes, Blackbeard could get another fruit and get even stronger, but Im at the moment is meant to seem like actually like God, right? So in theory, Im is even above whatever Blackbeard would finally be. Maybe we're wrong about that, but we have to wait and see. And then I think on top of that, just other stuff, it's kind of like Blackbeard doesn't have that intimidating of a force behind him. You know, it's not just about Blackbeard. It's like, it's the fact that, sorry, my eyes have really been bothering me recently. Im has, like, the armies of heaven keep growing and growing and growing and growing, right? First it was, the Marines and all of that stuff, and we're like, that's a big deal, right? Just the Marines alone, that's a much bigger problem than Blackbeard's crew, by far. You got one admiral on Blackbeard's crew, and it's already like, fuck, is he the strongest guy in Blackbeard's crew? Probably, right? He's probably comparable to Blackbeard himself, right? So you got the Marines and everything like that. They technically work under the world government. But then on top of that, you've got the Gorosei, who now are being called warrior gods. And then you've got these God's Knights. And then you've got the Seraphim. It's kind of just like it feels like that side is the one that's really being stacked up to be the final bosses of the series, But I could see it being Blackbeard. Like, thematically, you could make the argument either way. So Oda is free to pick and choose between Blackbeard or Im being the final villain. So we kind of just got to look at, okay, what does it seem is the direction that things are heading and who's getting built up more? I would say Imu is the answer right now. James S., thanks for the 5. I speak Japanese, am a Japanese citizen, and there's nowhere that says warrior god. It just says Gorosei. So misleading for the translators to write. God damn it. I even just called them the warrior gods. So it's just, what does it actually say? It says godheads? Is that what it says? Like the Viz says? Why the fuck does it say war? Man, TCB, you don't gotta do us like that. Whatever. Aga, thanks for the 5. If the Strahds face the world government, then it seems possible we can get a Luffy Dragon team up. If the Strahds face the world government, then it seems possible we can get a Luffy Dragon team up, unless Dragon gets eliminated before them. If the Straw Hats face the world government, then it seems possible we can get a Luffy Dragon team up. Yeah, I think we will. Unless Dragon gets eliminated before that. No, I think Dragon will be involved in the final war, alongside Luffy. Maudie Eunice, thanks for the donation. What do you think about Imu's move, Rook's Gambit? I don't know what that means. Oh, the move. The move. I forgot that was the move. Wait, no, was it? Is that what that was called? Now I'm forgetting. Let me take a look again. Let me take a look. No, isn't that Sabo's move? That's Sabo's move, right? Rook? Yeah, the Rook move. That's Sabo's move. Wait, or is it? Or is it Fire Fist? I'm confused now. I think he does Rook check against... Hold on. So he does Rook... Okay, wait. No, I'm confused. Okay, so Sabo shows up, he does Fire Fist, and then he does Rook check against Im. Yeah, so it's 2 moves. So it's, yeah. Yeah, it's 2 separate moves. Reba Spinny, thanks for the 5. Mother Flame is Luffy's mother, aka Crocodile's sister. Excellent contribution to the conversation. Jamie22, thanks for the 5. After Strides beat Blackbeard, they have a 3-way fight with the Marines, who block their path to Pirate King, plus surprise final rival Cross Guild. Mihawk can show off versus Admiral. I would hope Mihawk fights an Admiral earlier than that. I don't know if that's the order of events. I feel like Blackbeard would be the final obstacle to Laugh-Tale, not Marines. Dylan King, thanks for the 7. My ex is going to jail for kidnapping my son. Do you think there'll be... My ex is going to jail for kidnapping my son. Do you think there'll be any interaction between Blackbeard and Imu? I really fucking hope so. I feel like, especially if Blackbeard's plan to become one of the kings, like become an official king, goes through, I think him interacting with Im is definitely on the table. Jamie22, thanks for the 5. Part 2. So Luffy versus Akainu, Sanji versus Kizaru, Zoro versus Mihawk, Buggy's Luffy first and final pirate enemy. What? Bonus Crocodile versus Admiral or Straw Hat. I'm with you on Luffy versus Akainu happening, Sanji versus Kizaru happening. I'm not with you on... Okay, I get what you're saying here. But I feel like... Yeah, I guess I could see Zoro versus Mihawk happening right before Laugh-Tale, but... I just don't know how Cross-Guild and the Marines kind of mix there. I guess I see a 3-way battle kind of, but I don't know. Japanese Jim, thanks for the 5. Thoughts on the ancient weapons in the Gorosei named after all the planets. Assuming Luffy is the sun, the only one missing is Earth. Any ideas? Yeah, that's something I actually talked about on the last Morj cast, which you guys can get by becoming a member of a certain tier. But yeah, I think either Imu represents the Earth or the Moon. That's my take on it. So either nothing represents the Earth, because the Earth's just the Earth, or Imu represents the Earth and the Moon. Or Imu represents the Earth. That's what I'm saying. So either Im represents the Moon and nothing represents the Earth, or Im represents the Earth. Kalal Brown, thanks for the 10. Hey Merge, after finding out about Garling, I'm under the belief that God Valley was once in the control of Celestial Dragons, but was invaded by Roxanne's crew. No idea why though, lol. That theory is pretty much 100% correct, because that was pretty much confirmed in chapter 957, so... yeah. Umair Ula, thanks for the 5. What's your favorite power system? I'd say Nen is objectively the best, but Haki/Devil Fruit is the most entertaining to me. Nen is limitless and creative. I'll be honest, my favorite power system is Stan's, because JoJo's really is just, like, if you want to say objectively the best or whatever, and you're talking just in the manga sphere, I would say maybe Nen. That might be... Yeah, Nen is cool. I think that Nen is maybe a bit more... Like, I'm not one of those people that feels like, oh, the more complicated and more rules it has, the better, because that's generally not the case. There's a line between, how much complexity versus simplicity you want, and I think what's most important is consistently building on the same rules. I think Hunter x Hunter can occasionally just, like... set up things that don't matter that much in the future, or have aspects of Nen that are unnecessary, that make it unnecessarily bloated and stuff like that. I think Jujutsu Kaisen, especially if you read the latest chapter of Jujutsu Kaisen, there's a whole arc of Jujutsu Kaisen I missed, but even before getting to that arc, just how overly complex that entire cursed energy system became, it's kind of ridiculous. Like, go read just the most recent chapter of Jujutsu Kaisen in isolation, and it's a fucking joke. Like, I think what's happening in the chapter, the conflict itself, is really cool, and what happens is really cool, but like, the concept of what actually happens is very, very simple. But the author needs to go through a fucking 15-page history lesson on a bunch of made-up rules for the series that basically, like, it drags the entire thing out to, it's just laughable by the end of it once you get to the end of the chapter, just to actually get to the confrontation that happens. It's just, like, because the actual confrontation is very simple, and you can understand it like, the author could have spelled it out in, like, 3 panels, basically, like, this is a rule, but if this rule happens, then that kind of interacts with this in this way, and then it's done. But the author has set up so many random BS rules or whatever over the course of this series that it's just, like, talking and talking and talking and talking and talking, and it's like, more talking to explain a power system doesn't make it a better power system. That's not how it works. So, all in all, here's what I would say. My favorite power system is JoJo's and Stan's, because to me, ultimately, it's not like the number of rules that you have that matter. JoJo's is in fact famous for being very lazy with its rules and kind of stupid borderline with its rules, and in fact negating its past rules. But if you're asking me what produces the most fun fights consistently, it's JoJo's. Interestingly, I think Nen fights have gotten, like, Nen fights are somewhat rare in the story, like full elaborate Nen fights, where you really get into the in-depth nitty-gritty of, like, how this character's ability is interacting with that character's ability, right? Because the author has so many rules that, like, anytime they're actually setting up a complex, like, in-depth Nen fight, like, you can only do never mind, I was about to spoil something. You can only do a certain character versus a certain character, a specific hyped-up matchup that happens right after the anime ends. You can only do that sort of a fight once in a blue moon, because there's so many rules that you're going to have to go through. Whereas with JoJo's, it's just like, this stand does this BS, and this stand does this BS. Okay, now what's the entertaining scenario that comes out of it? Right. Dr. Farewell says it's wordy, but it's not complex in the slightest. It is, dude, if you don't think that Jujutsu Kaisen, if you don't think that Jujutsu Kaisen is overly complex in its power system, then I don't know what to tell you. Because a fight should never need that. If the actual if the actual reality of what's happening on page is a relatively simple interaction that can be explained in a few like 3 different rules, right? This is a rule, this is a rule, this is a rule, therefore this is what happens. Then that's all you should really need to have to break down for the reader, right? Jujutsu Kaisen has set up so many different fucking rules over the course of its series that, yes, if you need to run down that many different beats just to explain a very simple interaction, then the author has gone overboard easily. The simplest way I can put it is that power systems, they're kind of like power systems in fiction. They're kind of like view it like sports, same thing, right? View it like sports, view it like it's the same as game design for anything. Sports, board games, whatever. Generally speaking, you don't, like, having more and more and more and more rules is not a sign of, like, a great game design or great, great. It's not a sign of great game design in general, right? Not a sign of great game design, not a sign of a well thought out sport or competition or something like that. There's, like, a bubble that you want to stay in terms of how layered the game should be, but how much you should need to have to understand to fully get what's going on, right? When you're adding more and more and more and more, then you basically got a bad game or flawed power system. And that's what Jujutsu Kaisen is. Wrench Dodger 2000, thanks for being a member for 5 months. Imu has the clap clap no me model, twerk god. Nen flirts with having too many rules. Like, it's on the borderline. I think it makes good enough use of what it's got that I wouldn't say that it's a bad power system. But if you go back through and read, like, some early parts of Hunter x Hunter where it starts explaining this aspect of Nen and this and this and this, you kind of catch on to, like, this stuff's not that relevant, this stuff's not that relevant, this stuff's not that relevant, You should basically have as many rules as you're going to consistently have relevant in the story. Aether, thanks for the 2. Jokes on us. Mother Flame is literally Prometheus. Demon Nickerson, thanks for the 5. I think Demon would be a good epithet for Roger because of what Garp said about him. That would be a good... Yeah, I think I like that. I like that quite a bit. Willie Marshall, thanks for the 5. Which Berserk arc is better, Golden Age or Conviction? I'm leaning towards Golden Age, but I'm not sure. I think Golden Age is definitely the... Conviction is my favorite Berserk arc, just because I personally enjoy the story of that quite a bit. And it is also the most... it's the only Berserk arc of its 3 major arcs, Golden Age, Conviction, and Falcon of the Millennium Empire, that has significant momentum from start to finish. Golden Age plays out more so as it's a stretch of various different like individual short story. It's practically a bunch of different individual short stories and snippets of Guts' experience with the Band of Hawk over the years, with them pursuing this greater goal in general of getting Griffith higher and higher up the hierarchy in terms of Midland, etc. But it plays out like a lot of shorter conflicts and short stories, basically, right? Falcon of the Millennium Empire, it's kind of a wandering, meandering story of them, like, you know, they've made friends, and they're going to do this, okay, now we're going to head over here, etc. Conviction is a very tight arc in terms of start to finish. Heavy momentum. You have this goal in conflict, a timeline to complete it. If you don't complete it, then everything goes to shit. Everything's on the line, and so it's just, we get on this train and we go, right? It's more classically... Conviction is actually the closest I would say Berserk gets to having like a shonen-esque storyline, right? That's something we would kind of expect of like One Piece Enies Lobby or something, right? So I like that aspect of Conviction. It felt like a very gripping read from start to finish. But I would say Golden Age is the best written arc by good margin, actually. I think in every aspect you look at Golden Age, it blows, except for art, it blows out every other Berserk arc out of the water. And that's not an insult to other Berserk arcs, because they're all really, really good. It's just that Golden Age is thematically much more complex and nuanced in terms of character writing. It is much more tightly focused on its main characters and goes much deeper with its main characters. I think across the board, I think... and it's just much bolder in terms of what it sets out to do. Nathan H., thanks for being a Yonko tier member for 7 months. Do you think the Figarland... Garling's crescent moon hairstyle could be in reference to the dawn/night parallel between Luffy and Imu? So I'm at a point where I'm like trying to avoid just assuming, like, because we're at a point where there's so many ideas in One Piece that almost anything can be construed as symbolism for this or that. Like, well, does this mean the sun, or does this mean the moon, or does this symbolize like hope and shadow, and like, you know what I mean? So I'm trying to avoid making too many assumptions, especially because he's a new character, so I don't want to make too many assumptions on what he's supposed to represent, how important he's even going to be in the grand scheme of things, but I definitely see that as a possibility. Jay, thanks for the 5. If Garp gets defeated by Kuzan, maybe from Awakening, would that be a disappointing off-screen, since it's likely we wouldn't see Garp fight again? I hope it happens on-screen. I really hope it happens on-screen. I think we might see Garp fight in flashback form in the Rocks flashback, at least a little bit, and I imagine he'll be very impressive there, so I don't think that we should feel too disappointed, in my opinion. Stride Chaco, thanks for the 5. Random thought, just reread the chapter with Luffy's dream. Do you think Luffy's dream could be to die with a smile on his face? No, because that's not something that would garner that reaction that everybody had. Note from the Strides. Also, favorite spice. Salt. Shouldn't that be everyone's favorite spice? Imagine your food without salt. Justin Holland, thanks for the 5. I meant, do you think there's a connection between the Mother Flame and ASL? I don't get it. Ace, Sabo, Luffy? What does that mean? What's the connection between those two things? I guess no. Do you think Luffy will face Blackbeard, Akainu, and Imu? Yes. Any future crewmates in your opinion? I've circled around to maybe no more future crewmates. If I had to guess, I think the best candidates are either Bonnie, Yamato. Yeah, I think Bonnie and Yamato are my only 2 candidates. And people might be shocked at me saying Yamato because they're like, Morj, weren't you so against Yamato joining back in Wano? Yes, that's the entire point, because Yamato joining in Wano involved no, like, now she's saying, I need to, like, there's some stuff I need to work on, right? We have a character arc set for her. She still wants to become a Straw Hat, but she's like, I need to go through this to become a Straw Hat. I'm like, great, that's all I fucking asked for. That's all I wanted in Wano. So now I'm all prepared for it. Nurgangi, thanks for the 5. Tired of asking, need to rest my head. All right, stop asking. Sadly for us all, Manga Morj is dead. No, that's... God damn it. Get out of here, Nur. Hiai Stan 69, thanks for the 5. Do you think Luffy versus Kaido took place far from the Flower Capital because Oda couldn't keep a light tone while people who suffered were around? I definitely think that's I definitely think that's possible. I definitely think that feeds into a large part of it. Keep it very isolated. No one even inside the dome was really watching it. It had to be announced to people by Nekomamushi. Ryochiya, thanks for the 5. What if the Gorosei don't fight the Straw Hats, the Revolutionary Commanders, and Sabo? Yeah, I mean, they might not. For a long time, I didn't think that they would be involved at all. Also, learning that their names are not the warrior gods is throwing me a little bit, because I'm like, okay, so are we back to not thinking they're that badass? Who knows? BeatGamer99 is asking Vivi. I just don't know, because it's like, do you count Vivi already? Do you not count Vivi? I don't know. Vivi is already honorary, so it's just like, I don't even, she's just her own category. Maybe she sails with them again, maybe she doesn't. Isho, thanks for the 2. Blackbeard hockey fight is a must. Triumphant Gear 5th, Im fight for the win. Yeah, I think that fighting Im with Gear 5th and like making that all like goofy and funny and stuff like that, I think that could be really cool. But I think the ones that are personal, like Luffy versus Blackbeard, I think the hockey, I hope, is going to matter a lot more. G4162, thanks for the 10. If Saturn is God tier, could he realistically get taken down here? God tier, what does that even mean? What's God tier? We don't, what's God tier? With a potentially awakened Kizaru, all the Seraphim, and all those Marines, I can't see anything but the Strats fleeing for now. I mean, they're gonna flee. Like, they're not gonna destroy like, there's too many Marines there. They're not gonna, in my opinion, they're not gonna be able to beat all of them. But it's like, can they win the important matchups, right? I think that they can win I would love to see Luffy beating either Kizaru or Saturn, or maybe Zoro and Sanji versus Kizaru while Luffy takes down Saturn. The Seraphim, I think they should be able to get past them soon, you know? It feels like it's already dragged on a little longer than it needed to have. Virgil Hawkins, thanks for the 2. Have you seen the Geo/heliocentric Gorosei theory? I have not. Ikioi no Rafa, thanks for the 5. Old Green Knees, thanks for the 5. Since Big D Vivi is rejoining, how do you think she powered up? I don't think she powered up. I don't know if she's rejoining, dude. I think she's honorary Straw Hat. I think she'll play her world on the global political stage. Maybe she's back on the ship again, but she doesn't have to be a fighter. Kakashi Snitch 9, thanks for the 10. Have you seen Spider-Verse? And if so, do you think it's peak fiction? I really want to see it soon. I really want to see it very soon. Also, do you have any theories for the next Chainsaw Man chapter tomorrow? I really hope... I can't say the next part because it's a spoiler. But I am excited for Chainsaw Man still, but I'm not as hot on it these days as I was at one point. Personally. I think the ending of the last chapter was really exciting, but I did not care that much for this little mini arc as a whole. I think it was actually the first mini arc in Chainsaw Man that I didn't think was that good. I guess it's an arc, not a mini arc, but I didn't think this one was that good. I think a lot of the subtlety in writing was thrown out the window. I think the way the conflict was resolved was kind of a little quick by Chainsaw Man standards, and I think that the villain's shtick, I think the villain was really cool to me initially. I think her shtick, you know, like the fun, like the quirky, weird, like the quirky vibe, like the idea behind, I don't know how to explain it, but I'll just say I think her shtick got old pretty quickly for me, and it started seeming a little corny to me. So across the board, I didn't actually care that much for the latest Chainsaw Man arc. I hope the next one is back to what I was enjoying a little bit earlier in the series. Yoki no Rafa, thanks for the 5. I used to work for TCB and speak Japanese. All right, all the Gorosei have Bushin in their title, and it roughly is like God of War and martial arts. Okay, then I don't know who the fuck to believe. Alright. Thanks for the clarification, though. Thank you. Bien Jin, thanks. Luffy versus Shanks needs to happen for the One Piece. For the One Piece? I don't know for the One Piece, man. Luffy versus Blackbeard makes more sense for the One Piece, right? Blaze, thanks for the 5. On Toki, it makes no sense as to why the world government has not been able to find the Poneglyphs in 800 years. That's true. Also, the Skypiea Poneglyph was placed so recently. Was it placed recently? Was it placed recently? I need a refresher. The Toki thing would make sense. JDG, thanks for the 2. Any manga Morj videos coming, plus great content. Yeah, I think a Berserk video should be coming soon. I say think, but now that we got this 5-week break, I'm also weighing, like, do I just knock out the Wano video first or something? Vanilla Thunder, thanks for the 2. Poneglyphs are indestructible, but you can ride on them. I think, however they were initially made was probably, like, I think a popular theory on the Poneglyphs was that, like, they were imbued with haki by, like, a collective group of people. So it's possible that maybe initially when they were being written, they were just normal rocks. So you just chisel in whatever you want to chisel in. Then you imbue them with haki so they can't be changed. And then, just like that, you got an indestructible message to send to the future. Dr. Farewell, thanks for the 2. I was talking about Nen, many irrelevant rules / tech. Yeah, I would agree. I still think Nen's good. I like Nen. Leo Rector, thanks for the 550. Hi, Mr. Morj. Have you seen Spider-Verse, and is it good enough to stream / talk about? I've not seen Spider-Verse, but maybe when I do, I'll stream / talk about it. Also, maybe the V in Gandhi's name is important, and Imu could be V-Earth. Verth? I don't know if that's important. Guys, let's get the stream likes to 300. I think it was just Oda being cute with the Venus name. Manny Corral, thanks for the 5. Someone in your Discord who actually is Japanese. Oh my fuck. Alright. Everyone who's claiming they're actually Japanese and knows Japanese, thanks for chiming in. Let's see. Someone in my Discord who is actually Japanese is saying the kanji is for Bushin, which does mean warrior god. You got trolled. Okay, so that's been confirmed twice now. Then why is, then can someone explain the I got trolled. Can someone explain the Viz translation? Because I feel like we all got trolled then, didn't we? Blaze says, how did Odin write on them, though? Am I crazy? When did Odin write on them? When did Odin write on the Poneglyphs? Can someone remind me? When did Odin write on the Poneglyphs? Eric Trelato, thanks for the donation. Penis, he says. Kurokami Najimi says the irrelevant parts of Nen is just to make it feel more realistic. That's stupid for a fantasy series. For fantasy, if you're creating a made-up system, you just every aspect of it should be relevant to what is actually going to be displayed on the page. Otherwise, you're filling the reader with like unnecessary made-up information. That's basically bullshit. He didn't. For Roger, wasn't that on a like? Unless I'm crazy, it wasn't on Poneglyph Rock. It was on the Bell, right? It was on the Bell or something like that. Nurgangi, thanks for the 220. Do you still have ambitions to be a screenwriter? I want to direct movies. I would love to be able to write for them as well, but mostly what I'm trying to do is just save up enough money to produce, write, film, direct an independent film. That's still my goal. Thanks for asking. Yeah, it was on Gold, as Alex Tomlin confirms. Eric Trelato, thanks for the 5. Apparently Bushin is a local term for political leader / head of state in Asia. Which is it? Is it a martial artist / warrior god, or is it a political whatever? Thanks for the contribution, Eric. LJ916, thanks for the 5. If all of Vegapunk's inventions are failures in one way or another, what do you think is going to be wrong with the mega weapon? They may not know about it yet. I don't think all of his stuff is a failure. I think he just thought that the fruit, like, if anything, it's the other way, where he's such a perfectionist that even, like, something really minor, like getting the color wrong on the dragon that Momonosuke is, he considers that a failure, whereas most would consider it a perfect fruit. Tala, thanks for the 279. Translation is 100% warrior gods. Don't worry, other guy lied. This other guy, by the way, is the Viz guy. I mean, the other commenter obviously as well, but in general, it's the Viz guy, Stephen Paul. I don't understand it. I cannot fathom why you would change. Like, why would you, like, does anyone understand this? Why would you change, if Bushin means warrior god, then why would you change it to say this? To say godhead? It just doesn't make any sense to me. It just makes it, it's like, is it not strictly worse? Right? Like, is it not just strictly worse to read this and be like, oh, it says godhead? What does a godhead even mean? I've never even heard of that. Am I crazy? Dr. Farewell says Viz pulled a Viz. Yeah, I guess so. Alright. Let me pull up the Microsoft Paint. Billy Joel says he's throwing in Berserk themes. Berserk is God Hand. This is God Head. It's not even the same. Cigar Verk, thanks for the 5. Mihawk on or his sword might have some link with Imu and company. Mihawk's eye matches Imu. His sword has same design as Imu's throne's back, and he refuses to fight Shanks. What does refusing to fight Shanks have to do with it? I don't buy the Mihawk Imu connections. It would be cool, but I don't know. Jolly D. Joestar says, because they give head to God, Imu. That is actually a hilarious explanation. I like that. Okay. Yeah, let me pull up the Microsoft Paint. It's time to actually talk about some of the matchups, which we have not done so far. Alright. You guys ready? Okay. I forgot about the main... Sometimes when a stream starts, I forget what the main purpose of the stream was until we get partway through. And then I'm like, oh yeah, we were supposed to be doing this. Matchups. Alright, and we're sticking with warrior gods, therefore the Gorosei are important. Alright, we're sticking with that assumption. We're sticking with the assumption that they're very strong. Maybe the strongest subordinates in the entire world government arsenal. Ikioi no Rafa. I like that name, by the way. I don't think I mentioned that. Okay, thanks for the 5. Oda uses Bushin instead of... My fucking god. Alright. I love Japan for everything that it gives us, fiction-wise, but I hate this fucking language. Okay? So, what Ikioi no Rafa says is that Oda uses random symbols, Bushin, instead of more random symbols, Bushin. So same word, which is just a normal military term. He specifically uses God of War / martial arts for his titles. Then what the fuck is Stephen Paul on? He used Bushin instead of Bushin. So isn't this fucking obvious? What's he doing? Writing Godhead and shit. My god. Abderrahman Amari, thank you very much. Vegapunk's inventions have problems like Momo Dragon Color or other inventions for the weapon. The problem is vanish the island, not destroyed. I'm still on the boat that I think it's possible that Vegapunk did not actually destroy this island. Because of what Dragon says. He's just like, Vegapunk would never do that. So I'm still... And the thing is that while CP0 is traveling over to Egghead Island, they're like, why are we being sent over to kill Vegapunk? And Lucci outright says, maybe it was related to the Lelucia Kingdom incident. Maybe it was related to the Lelucia Kingdom incident. Maybe Vegapunk made a machine that deliberately is not supposed to destroy islands. He just told him that it would do that. I don't know. We'll see. AJK says TCB greater than Viz? Yeah, it's... I don't think there's... I mean, Viz is good as a fact check generally. Generally, it's good as a fact check. But sometimes it seems like it's not even good as a fact check. So then what's it for? I think across the board in my mind, I'm like, TCB is great for readability. So it's best for readability. Comes out pretty early. So good readability, comes out early, and is fairly accurate, right? Viz comes out the latest. Terrible, terrible, terrible writing. Generally supposed to be the most accurate, and has the best visuals, so the actual best picture quality. So, TCB and Viz, they have their strengths, but TCB is obviously overall better. Then you have OP scans, which is just ass. Bad at everything, right? Bad image quality, terrible translations, and it comes out the earliest, but it's like TCB is already pretty early. So OP scans is just an example of like, well, we can get it out earlier if you want to rush shitty product. So it's just like, I don't know. It's bad image quality, bad translations in terms of readability, and bad translations in terms of accuracy. So it's just like, what are we even reading this for? Get these guys the fuck out of here. Surreal Soviet, thanks for the 2. Dragon has more faith in Vegapunk than Sabo, lol. I've said this before. You guys know I've been on Dragon's case for that whole Sabo thing, right? But I will maintain that I think that there's a big difference between Dragon saying like, well, Sabo might have killed one dude versus Dragon saying, look, I know Vegapunk wouldn't create a machine that kills literally millions of people. I think that there's a difference there. I think having faith that one dude isn't just like a big facilitator of mass genocide is different than thinking, Sabo might or might not have killed like one noble person of nobility, Billy Bob says Morj TCB has some agendas. I guess, yeah, but I don't know exactly. I would agree that maybe that's like a bit of a problem, but I think that that's heavily outweighed by, ultimately what you want is good readability. I think that's the most important thing for scans. You want good readability, fairly good, like the more accurate the better, obviously, but readability comes first. Accuracy, as close to accurate as you can get as close to decent picture quality as you can get. I think TCB is the best combination of things, in my opinion. Yokai says Hidden Island said in his 1069 review that the Viz has better translations than TCB and OP scans is trash. I trust him as he knows a bit of Japanese. Yeah, no, Viz is always going to have the best accurate translations in terms of like what's the closest to what Japanese is. Except for certain cases like the Bushin, the warrior god thing that they fucked up. But TCB has the best translations in terms of like actually sounding like human beings talking. Drek the Drek, thanks for the 10. I think Godhead is the more accurate term if Oda spelled it out as a pun. They're the head of state and godly. Shit. Okay. So you're saying another example, Dofi's overheat in Japanese phonetics has the word for string, ito. Okay. Can anyone confirm, is there a pun involved here? I'm done with this, man. I'm done with this. I don't know. Sometimes I'm like, maybe I should learn a bit of Japanese. Then I'm like, that would be a terrible waste of time. The return on that investment is basically nothing. I can just read other people's stuff who know Japanese, and like 95% of the time people agree. Sometimes we get cases like this where people disagree. Let's see. All right. So, here's what we've got going on, all right, in terms of the bad guys. Bad guys. I should make this bigger. Bad guys. And this is the type of production quality you're only going to see on a Morj stream. We're going to make the bad guys in red so that you guys understand it's symbolic. You know what I mean? It's very symbolic. You'll see what I'm talking about. Because I'm going to put the good guys in, I don't know, blue? Blue's not even a good guy. I guess traditionally white is the good guy color, right? But then it's not going to show up here. We'll just go with blue because it's the opposite of red. Red is the bad guy color. It's official. Akakao, thanks for the 5. Hi, Morj. Finally, I can tune into the stream after a long day at work. Congrats. Hope you're having a great day in stream so far. Thank you very much, man. I appreciate it. Hopefully you get fired, and then you can tune in on to streams like all the time, right? Fingers crossed. Let's pray for it. Let's see. Green. Green's a good guy color. Let's roll with that. Okay, we got Imu. Okay. We got Imu. Then we got... Do I know all of the Gorosei off the top of my head? I don't know them all yet. Saturn. Venus Juro. Peter. Who are the other guys? Vexdart, thanks for the 5. Morj, when I first heard you from Grand Line Review, I thought you were an annoying streamer, and now I listen to your streams when I'm working. What? When I first heard you from Grand Line Review, I thought you were annoying. What the fuck? What did he say? What? Vexdart, I need some more context on that. You thought I was an annoying streamer? I don't even stream. Okay. Okay, we got Jupiter. Who's the other ones? I appreciate the turnaround in opinion. Unless you still think I'm an annoying streamer, but you actually didn't change your mind. All you say is I thought you were an annoying streamer, and now I listen to your streams when I'm working. But you don't say that you stopped thinking I'm annoying. You just say that you started listening to me while you're working. So maybe you listen to me because you don't like me. That's also possible. I'm just going to assume that's not the case. I missed 2 supers? That doesn't sound like me. Let's take a look. Covered this. Oh, Uwu, the UFO guy. He says, sorry I'm late. Was watching UFO stuff. U.S. government made treaties with non-human intelligences. They sold us out. Fuck. For what? Cash? Aliens don't have cash? That's one of the things. It's like, if aliens showed up, could the government even, like... How would they really sell us out? Because, like... I guess the aliens could give them, like... a spot in the New World Order once they take over. Cigarverg, thanks for the 2. First matchup is Imu versus Pinzoro. If not, it's wrong. I have a feeling it might not be that, but I guess we'll wait and see. Wait, I'm doing this all wrong. Hold on. Let's try and get some order into this. All right. We've got Imu. Then we've got I guess bullet points don't just automatically pop up. You know what? I should do this. There we go. Okay. We've got Imu. We've got Saturn. We've got Marcus. We've got Venus Choro. We've got Peter. Who's the other one I was missing? Did you guys fill me in? Who am I still missing? Ethan. Ethan doesn't sound right. Am I crazy? Who is Ethan? I guess it is Ethan. Everyone's saying Ethan. The problem is that some of them have like 6 names. Like it is Saint Ethan Baron Venus Joro. Okay, so it's the person I was missing was Top Man. Top Man. All right. We've got the 5 Gorosei, right? Then we've got Figarland, and we've got Holy Knight 2, Holy Knight 3, Holy Knight. We got to write them all out because we just need them all listed out. Holy Knight 5, Holy Knight 6. Are you guys looking at this? This is fucking crazy. How many people do we have to fight before this is all done? Holy Knight 8. And then Holy Knight 9. Okay, so we got all those. Then we've got Seraphim Mihawk. We've got... I'm going to delete the spaces, because I thought that it would make the organization a little bit better, but we just need all the space we can get. Seraphim Mihawk, Seraphim Do Flamingo, Seraphim Hancock, Seraphim Kuma, yeah, Seraphim Crocodile. Was I ordering these by strength, just subconsciously? I don't want to get controversial in terms of, I don't know how strong each of these. I feel like a lot of this Shichibukai, it's like debatable. Like Doflamingo versus Hancock, who actually knows at this point? Yeah. What did I do? What am I doing? All right, that seems good. Okay, so we've got all this. We've got all this. Why is the zoom system so shitty in this? Okay, we've got all this. Then I guess we gotta throw in shit like CP0 and stuff, right? Zoldan, thanks for the 10. Random, but you've mentioned playing Zelda before. Yeah, Majora's Mask is my favorite Zelda game. What's your favorite Zelda? Okay, this is gonna sound weird. I'm glad you asked that, because Zelda was very important for... Zelda used to be more important to me, I guess, than it is. But, yeah, growing up, I only had, like, a very basic... I had, like, the Wii. I got the Wii, like, 10 years later than everybody else got the Wii. I had a GameCube. So, like, the only games I really played, like, single-player games I played were Zelda Wind Waker, Zelda Twilight Princess. I went back and played Ocarina of Time, and I played Majora's Mask, right? And Skyward Sword. So I played those 5. I've not played Breath of the Wild, so I can't rank Breath of the Wild. I've not played Tears of the Kingdom yet. Can't rank that either. So from the 5 original 3D Zeldas, Majora's Mask used to be my favorite. Now I don't know, because I think some Zelda fans might hate me for this, but, like, keep in mind, the Zelda series was very important to me, okay? But Majora's Mask was undisputably my favorite for a while. Then this year, in January, I played the Dark Souls game. So I played Dark Souls 1, Dark Souls 3, alright? Since then, I think I've... I think Majora's Mask doesn't feel as strong. I think I liked Majora's Mask better than all the other Zelda games because I enjoyed the unique tone, the atmosphere, the sense of melancholy, the sense that you were going through a sort of like the theme of death is very prevalent throughout Majora's Mask. There's a lot of sorrow to be found interacting with NPCs, exploring their stories and things like that. It just felt like a very vibrant world that was heavily steeped in sadness, if that makes sense. Also surreal and dreamlike in many aspects. So for that reason, I put Majora's Mask above the other Zelda games. I had Majora's Mask, then Ocarina of Time, then Wind Waker, then Twilight Princess, then Skyward Sword. That was my original order. Then, after playing the Souls games, I think it bumped Majora's Mask down a little bit for me because like a lot of the things I liked about Majora's Mask, I felt even more strongly about from the Souls games. So things like atmosphere, sort of the sense of a sort of dying, decaying world, overarching feel of just melancholy, the dreamlike, like the sad dreamlike aspects that pervade the entire universe. I don't know. I think a lot of that made me like not value that stuff as much in Majora's Mask by contrast. So now it's weird. I actually have Wind Waker number 1. Then I think Ocarina of Time, then Majora's Mask, then Twilight Princess, then Skyward Sword. I think just some certain things I kind of like. I think when you get more of what you like out of a series, out of a different series, then it can kind of make what you originally liked about that first series feel less important, and then maybe that makes you value other aspects a little bit more. So now I value other aspects of Zelda a little bit more, which is why I bumped Wind Waker up a little bit. Majora's Mask is not just good for the atmosphere and everything like that, though. Atmosphere, themes, feel, etc. I think it also has the best dungeons in Zelda, personally. But then at the same time, the game is also very short, so you gotta weigh that as well. I don't know. Pro DLC, thanks for the 2. Mr. Porge, will the raid fail for the Marines? I don't think so. Oh, wait. I do think so. I think they'll get Egghead Island fine. Like, I think they'll take it over, but, like, I don't think they'll capture the Straw Hats, you know? And I think that's the probably more important part. Let's see. Energy Master J, thanks for the 5. Have you seen the comparison of the value of the gods in Utah? What? to God Valiant Commander Garlington who fought in the Native American Wars. I've saw something about some commander named Garlington on Twitter, but I don't even know what to think about that. I have no comment on it. Sorry. I'm just like, Garlington, I just don't know. Let's get the stream likes to 400. Cross Guild Employee, that's a funny name. Thanks for the 5. Sabo will fight Akainu. Yeah, let's get the Marines in. Sabo will fight Akainu. We got Kizaru. We got Green Bull. I'm not putting Fujitora because I just don't think he'll be there on the bad guy's side when all is said and done. I don't even feel like putting CP0. I think we're stretching too far once we're talking about CP0. I'm not getting into the Vice Admirals and all that shit either. Let's just roll with this. I think Luffy has enough with Blackbeard and Imu. Sabo is also Ace's brother. Poetic to have Mera beat Akainu. Also World Government versus Revos. I've got a lot of thoughts on Luffy versus Sabo, Luffy versus Akainu. Honestly, maybe I should make that a video topic because I have so many thoughts on that. Let me just make a note to self real quick. Because that is... I think that's a big one. I just don't know if that's one that is that interesting for people at this point in time, you know, because we've got so many other characters to talk about. But that is actually one of my favorite topics to discuss, and I think it's so in-depth that I don't think I could do it justice really quickly here on stream, personally. Yeah, that might be a video. Vexstar, thanks for the 5. Nah, you my favorite YouTuber now. Thank you, but I try not to watch the stream to save it for when I'm at work. Okay, awesome. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. That's nice. It's a nice turnaround, huh? Reda Spinny, thanks for the 2. Im take over, others will and become immortal by that. I think he became immortal through the surgery. That's what was implied this last chapter, right? Captain Face, thanks for the 5. What 5 could face Imu before Luffy? What 5 could face Imu before Luffy? NL versus Wiper, Robin, Zoro. Oh, I see what you're saying. You're drawing the parallel to NL versus Wiper, Robin, Zoro, Ganfall, and Nami. I wouldn't even count Nami there, so it was like 4 versus NL, right? Sanji versus Jupiter, man who wastes no food versus judge who eats and starves. Damon Nickerson says, let's get the likes to 2. Let's get the likes to 500. No, we're gonna start with 400. 400 first. But I like the enthusiasm. I think Sanji versus Jupiter is something that a lot of people like. You know, I think a lot of people like Sanji versus Jupiter just because it looks similar. I don't know. If I had to draw a parallel to the NL scene, I would say, okay, let's throw Zoro in there again because he was there once, so maybe again. So maybe if we draw hard parallels, like, right? Like, let's say probably Wiper's Dragon's equivalent, so Im versus Dragon. Maybe we get, like, Im versus Dragon, Zoro. Who's the equivalent for Robin? Law. Who's the equivalent for Gonfall? Dragon again? I don't know. It's not quite 1-to-1. I don't think there's easy options there. Javi Sosa, thanks for the 2. What the fuck? I was literally just thinking about this, lol. Like the stream topic? I don't know what to say. L, thanks for the 2. Where do you think Law's story is headed? I don't think he's done. I think there's a... I think he'll be participating in the final war. That's all I gotta say. Brian Q, thanks for the 5. What if Garp's personal hate towards Shanks goes deeper than just making Luffy a pirate? What if Saint Figarland called his own Buster Call on his kingdom? One thing I'll say is that we gotta stop talking about Buster Calls like they're a big deal. They are not. What's happening right now on Egghead? Like, 5 Vice Admirals is basically something that Garp would just like, Garp could walk through a Buster Call, right? It's easy. What's happening to Egghead right now, with an Admiral being sent, plus a Gorosei, plus like 100,000 warships with God knows how many Vice Admirals, that's where we are at in the story in terms of, you know, an actual Marine strike that's a problem for characters of significance. Buster Calls, those are like small potato shit that you can drop on islands like, you know, Ohara and wipe them out. But, you know, Zoro could single-handedly beat a Buster Call at this point. You know what I mean? So it's just a minor pet peeve. It's not a pet peeve. It's just a thing where I'm just like, anytime I see people talking about Buster Calls like they're relevant at this point, I'm just like, what are we? It's 5 Vice Admirals. These guys suck. So Saint Figarland called a Buster Call in his own kingdom. I mean, Saint Figarland's whole philosophy and ideology and everything like that as a Celestial Dragon would warrant hate. At the same time, I wonder if Garp would be so naive as to dislike Shanks for something that, like, for the attitude of his father, because Garp, if anyone should know better than that, it should be Garp, because like Garp raised Ace, like Garp's own son Dragon is the world's worst criminal. Does that reflect on Garp? No. Garp took an Ace, the son of the previous world's worst criminal, right? And like Ace shouldn't carry the sins of his father or anything like that. So I think it would be pretty hypocritical for Garp to hate on Shanks just because he didn't like his dad, you know? Cross Guild employee, thanks for the 2. Also, thoughts of Shichibukai versus the Seraphim. You think the Shichibukai fighting their own counterparts? I think that'd be kind of boring. Honestly, it'd just be like, is it just for the Shichibukai to have someone to fight? I don't know. Jinho Wong, thanks for being a member for 4 months. 70% of the list is going to get off-screened anyway. Let me actually do something from memory real quick. Because, I mean, there is an argument we had that maybe a lot of these guys don't get fights, right? So, among the Beast Pirates, right, we had Kaido, King... Why am I doing bullet points? Let me see. Kaido, King, Queen... Fuck. One more time. Kaido, King, Queen, Jack, Who's Who, Ulti, page 1, Black Maria. Who else did we have? Black Maria, Sasaki, X-Drake doesn't really count, he defected. We had the numbers, let's not throw in the numbers, we had Hawkins, we had Apu. This was the totality of Kaido's forces, right? Among them, we could also say Big Mom, Peros, Sparrow, and then to begin with, we had all those Big Mom pirates, but they didn't. Okay, I would say in general, right? In general, the only character. Oh, we got to throw in Fukurokuju. Fukurokuju, right? So in general, all of these characters got fights, right? So Kaido got his fight, Big Mom got a fight, King got a fight, Queen got a fight. Jack and Perospero, they had minimally focused fights, right? So very small, short fights on the side. Who's Who got a fight. Ulti and Page 1, they kind of got fights. Black Maria got a fight, Sasaki got a fight, Hawkins got a fight, Apu kinda. Fukurokuju basically got a fight. So I'd say most characters that Oda set up did get they did get their full 1v1s. Some of them, like Ulti, Page 1, kind of got shortchanged. Apu didn't really get a fight. Yeah, like, it varies. I wouldn't say necessarily everyone's going to get a fight. The biggest thing that Oda did was just remove 80% of the Big Mom pirates that were there, right? So he could just, like, shove off a bunch of characters. But I don't know if he would do that, because then it's like, why even write in... This is all his decisions, right? So if he's writing in 9 Holy Knights when we've already got 5 Gorosei, what would be the reason for that to make those guys up if they're not supposed to get fights, right? Why would he do that? That's what I like to think. It's not the same as the Big Mom pirates because they already existed. Like, Big Mom needs to have a crew. It's just that Oda, like, once he's moving Big Mom over to Wano, he probably realized, okay, wouldn't make sense if she came without her crew, but we can't give everyone in her crew fights, so I kind of just got to make some of them shove off, right? That's not the same as this. Because here it's like he's making up... Like, we already had the Admirals, we already had the Gorosei. Oda is deciding actively in the final saga to add a bunch of shit. He's deciding to add all of these Seraphim, so 7 more fighters, and then 9 more fighters on top of that. Which suggests to me that they should be getting fights in some way, right? DuckDuck20, thanks for the 22. I think Usopp's greatest moment will come in a moment when Luffy is too scared to fight an opponent. That is a really interesting idea. Like, Luffy is too scared / traumatized to fight Akainu for some reason, and then Usopp steps up for him. That would be an amazing thought. That would be an amazing idea to incorporate into the story. I don't know if I can imagine something like that ever happening just because it's Luffy, but that is a brilliant, brilliant idea in my opinion. I just don't know if it would fit Luffy's character for that to ever happen to him. The closest, like, we had a similar situation where Luffy lost his will to fight against Lucci, like he just ran out of willpower to keep going, and then Usopp forced him to bring that back. But then to top that off with fear, like Luffy is legitimately scared to go fight. I don't know if that has ever happened as long as we've known Luffy, you know? Like, even with the Sabaody incident, I don't think Luffy was necessarily, like, he was desperate, he knew that they were going to lose, therefore they had to run, but he was still turning back to go fight, like, to go take them on and fight them and, like, still attacking Kuma and stuff when it came down to it. Aslan, thanks for the 220. Nuggets are frauds, fam. I promise you, I love Braun. Look, I love LeBron too, but, like, I don't think the Nuggets are frauds. I think they're just the best team right now. I think Jokic is the best player at this point. Jolly D. Joestar, thanks for the 5. Round 1, Luffy versus Akainu. Akainu dies. Luffy moves to Im. Akainu awakens. Round 2, Sabo and Garp versus Awaken Akainu. I don't know. I don't know about that. I think Sabo needs several... Like, Sabo's nowhere near Admiral level is the thing right now, so he would need to make a big jump. And yes, when I say nowhere near Admiral level, I mean nowhere near Admiral level. He's not... Like, the gap that we saw between him and Fujitora in Dressrosa, where Fuji's basically not trying at all, and Sabo's trying his hardest, and it leads to nothing. That's basically... That gap hasn't changed, as far as we've seen. Nothing in Reverie indicates that that's changed. Cross Guild employee says, thanks for the 2. Seraphim are supposed to be their perfected selves. Yeah, we just kind of got to wait and see if that actually plays out in reality. I think we could see a Seraphim fight their real-life counterpart just to get the comparison of, like, is a Seraphim therefore stronger than their original counterpart, but I don't think they're all going to fight. Lewis Summers, thanks for being the Yonko tier member for 3 months. Morj, you lied to me. Where's the Berserk video at? It's development hell. It exists. It's in development hell. Thanks for being a Yonko tier member. L, thanks for being a member for 4 months. Law versus Seraphim Doflamingo since he hates Dofi. Oh, that could be cool. That could be cool. I like that idea. Aztec Device, thanks for being a member for 8 months. What's your best / most likely theory on what caused the war with the Ancient Kingdom? If Lily was a D, how did she come to be on the bad guy's side? So thank you for being a Yonko tier member for 8 months. My theory for what caused the war with the Ancient Kingdom is a little bit too elaborate and still being fleshed out. It's something that I would have to drop in a full-ass video. But even that theory, it's relying on lots of parallels. So we've seen many times in One Piece before when, like, a ruling power, similar to in Alabasta, in Dressrosa, when a ruling power that is basically overthrown and then kind of erased or has history basically rewritten to frame them as villains, right? We saw that almost happen in Alabasta. We saw that happen in Dressrosa. I think things like that are very important. We did see that happen in Wano to a degree, although most people still remembered Odin, etc. as the good guys. I think that stuff is important. But then at the same time, I think the story of the Shandians and the Skypians is important. And I think that the overall truth of what happened in the Void Centuries is sort of like a marriage between the truth of what happened back then in between the Shandian and Skypian conflict and what we see happen in countries like Dressrosa. So there's some mixture there of ideas that is too complex at the moment to fully figure out, I think. Anime Clipper, thanks for the 2. Morj, do you like matcha tea? Yeah, like kinda. I think I made the Sabo fans mad. No, Sabo's not even close to Admiral level right now. I think if you read Dressrosa and thought that Sabo's close to Fujitora, I don't know what to say. I think it was very clear that Sabo's not, like Fujitora's here. It's hard to say how far Sabo is off from that, but Fujitora is clearly the one that is, like, it wasn't a fight between equals. It was fairly clear that Sabo was the one that was pressed. Fujitora was the one that was, like, not trying almost at all. And it doesn't look like Sabo, like, he didn't do anything in Reverie that really indicated he's gotten stronger, you know. Amsterdam, thanks for the 5. Hi, Mr. Borp. All right. Okay. Let's see. Let's see. Eric says, "Oh yeah, Dressrosa matters still." I mean, if Sabo had, I was always of the opinion like when people tried to power skill Sabo, I was kind of the opinion like let's wait and see what happens in Reverie, because maybe he did something in Reverie that shows that he's like leveled up or something, but he didn't. So yeah, Fujitora like Dressrosa matters in the same sense like, it's just that's there's nothing that's really indicated his strength has increased. It's kind of like, you know, the level of strength Sanji was in Dressrosa, it's not like he was magically way stronger in Wano. He became stronger when he got his power up in Wano. You know, it's like that's the same is true for pretty much every character. It's not like Luffy was magically stronger in Whole Cake Island than he was in Dressrosa. He became stronger once he fought Katakuri and got his power up. It's just the same for everyone. Okay. Let's see. So let's start with the simple stuff, right? We know Luffy fights Imu, right? Luffy fights Imu. Let's move this a little further back, right? No, I mean we can put it here. Okay. We'll put, anytime we write a good guy, we'll just put him in green so it's easy to tell. Luffy fights Imu. That's number one. Why did I even write bad guys here? What's the point of this if I'm just going to be writing it all the way down? Just pretend I didn't do this. Just get rid of this. Alright. There we go. That doesn't exist, alright? Okay, so Luffy fights him. That makes sense. Saturn, and this is where we get stuck. But we can probably figure it out if we think a little bit. Because Saturn's heading over. Saturn's heading over. And Saturn is set to fight somebody. Let's say Luffy fights Saturn. Fuck it. Saturn fights Luffy. How about that? We good with that? Now here's where it gets really tough. Who do you think Zoro's opponent is? Who do you think Zoro's opponent is? Is it a Gorosei or is it a Holy Knight? Here is my take that I'm going to say right now. I feel like the Holy Knights might be opponents for the Revolutionary Army. I say this simply because I feel like it was kind of set up with this last chapter a couple chapters back with Dragon talking about like once the Holy Knights are deployed, that's when the real battle begins. Where like it sounds like that's who the Revolutionary Army members are gunning for. They're not as concerned about the Marines. It sounds like the Holy Knights are the ones that they got on their radar. You know? Virgil Hawkins says Zoro's opponent is a Kainu. People want Zoro to fight. Okay, let's just say Zoro fights in Venus Juro. Alright? For the sake of moving things along. Right? Does that mean that Sanji fights Peter? Sanji? Well, then who the fuck is fighting Marcus and Top Man? This is too hard. This is impossible. Ooh, thanks for the 5. What state and city is your family from, Morj? At work, I see mostly people from the Punjab. My family, my dad was born in, my mom is from Delhi. My dad was, I should know this. My dad was from Kolkata? But I don't know if he was born there. I think he was from somewhere else. Oh, I think I really pissed off some Sabo fans. What does Sabo's he just doesn't have any feats, you know? Like he beat up Burgess, but I don't think people think Burgess is that strong at this point. He fought Fujitora, but you can go back and look at the fight. Fujitora was pretty much not trying at all, and Sabo was really stressed throughout that fight. I don't know what to say. Like, it was made very clear that Fujitora is significantly stronger than Sabo. Beyond that, Sabo hasn't done anything, so I don't really know where people... Like, what are people basing Sabo's strength on? Because he hasn't fought anybody else. You know, like, is there something that can be clarified here for me? Do people just like Sabo because he's Sabo? Like, what's the where is the Sabo hype coming from? Like, why are people assuming that he's strong? Or, like, you know, Admiral level. He's obviously strong, but I'm like, why are people assuming that he's Admiral level? And, you know, forget just Admiral level. Like, Akainu. Why do people think he can beat Akainu? Because Akainu was, like, he was going toe-to-toe with Whitebeard. You know, like, just, how are we getting from Sabo beating Burgess and being outclassed by Fujitora? That's where we're at. How are we getting to, okay, he's as strong as Fujitora? Wait, he's actually stronger than Fujitora. Wait, he's actually stronger than Akainu, who is basically comparable to Yonko. Like, where are we getting there? Can someone explain that to me? It's not this isn't even a rant. This is just like, I legitimately don't, is there something I missed? Where's this where's this coming from? Like, where did I miss a pivotal scene where, like, Sabo, like, did I miss him, like, going toe-to-toe with Kizaru or something like that? Or, like, did he beat Green Bull or something? Like, where am I? What's the scene? Can someone just point to what's the scene that people are pulling this from? J Press B, thanks for the 5. Will Rayleigh fight in the final war? Also, who's your top 5 strongest old man? Top 5 strongest old man, it's hard to say because it's just like, it's hard to measure how far off they are from their primes. I think old Whitebeard was stronger than old Garp, in my opinion. I think both of them are probably stronger than old Rayleigh. Who else is old? I think Sengoku's probably about as strong as old Rayleigh, maybe as strong as old Garp. I don't know. It's hard to rank the old men. I don't know. I don't know if Rayleigh will fight in the final war. Maybe he just swoops in and takes out somebody. I don't know. Like, somebody simple, like one of the Holy Knights or something. Captain Face, thanks for the 2. Can you go in-depth on Chainsaw Man's subtle writing / lack of? I don't want to spoil much. I think that the writing in the first several arcs was very, of part 2, was very, very subtle, the character writing. Because you could understand a lot of what Asa is going through and what she's thinking, etc. It's communicated just through kind of, without being spelled out for us, that in too explicit or heavy-handed of a manner. You could kind of pick up from her thoughts, her perceptions of people around her, her perceptions of the way the world works, and glimpses into her past. Kind of a picture is being painted of this character and why she thinks the way she is, why she feels the way she is. This last arc, I think, threw a lot of that out the window because it's literally like, it has her basically very openly yelling about, like, the things that upset her, and then, like, and on top of that, it's the falling I really, really didn't like, because I think that was very, very, very on the nose writing. Like, literally, like, I don't know, like, literally, it's kind of like, it's almost, without spoiling too much, it's almost like how sad your backstory is and how sad your emotions are literally taking an effect in the real world. Like, I just don't like writing like that. I feel like that's very, 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 very heavy-handed writing, and it just started just, like, openly spelling out a lot of things that I think we didn't need spelled out, like the character literally just yelling about, this is the cause of my sadness and depression. Like, I don't know, that's I think that's a disservice to what he was doing up till that point, in my opinion. And if you don't like that explanation, that's just a condensed explanation. If I went through the chapters, I could kind of point down bit by bit, like, why I felt that, if you compare earlier to what it is now. The type of dialogue that I don't like in Chainsaw Man right now. Abdurrahman Amari, thanks for the 5. I think Saturn will be defeated in Egghead, and Top Man will betray Imu because Mercury, the planet nearest to the sun, so Imu will be with 3 like always. Top Man will betray Imu because Mercury, the planet nearest to the sun. Why is Mercury being close to the sun? Why does that matter? Okay, because it's close to Luffy, I guess. McDude says he survived 5 Gorosei plus Imu. Yeah, but he had to be saved by Cobra. Like, he survived them, but he also didn't really, like, we don't even know how to scale these guys. He mostly just ran away, you know? And he nearly died from one attack. Gunther Hendricks, thanks for the 2. Sabo would fight Green Bull, proven advantage. Maybe, but I don't know how much that advantage would matter because Green Bull also took out King easily, and King has magma fire, which is supposedly hotter than Sabo's type of fire, right? Let's see. Yeah, I think on that note, like King is stronger than Sabo, right? Or King would at least beat Sabo in a fight, right? Because how would King lose? Like, how would Sabo beat King? Sabo can't damage King. He's not a Conqueror's Haki user, so he can't damage King. And King's flames are better than Sabo's flames because King has magma type flames and Sabo's just normal. Like, if Sabo's not even above King, then how does he get to Admiral level and then above Admiral level, like Akainu's level, and actually even stronger than Akainu? Like, isn't that just like several jumps, you know? How would, okay, for people saying Sabo would beat King, how would Sabo beat King? It just doesn't make any sense. Sabo can't damage King. He doesn't have Conqueror's Haki. He literally can't damage King. And then King has better fire than him. And King is probably faster than him. So I don't really know what to say. Like, is there an actual argument for Sabo beating King? Aztec Device, thanks for the 2. What's your biggest fear for the end of the series? That, I don't know, that it'll be bad. If we were to get more specific, that it'd be rushed and a lot of characters wouldn't get their character moments or important fights, basically, or important arcs, etc. Okay. Okay, so let's say for fun, let's say then, so Mercury betrays him. Let's say that. I personally think that Mercury fights Dragon, but I don't really have a ton to base it off of. It just kind of looks like he's the type of dude to fight Dragon, you know? Kaleo Mungin says Sabo is Rio. Rio doesn't do enough. Rio doesn't do anything to King. It's established you need at least Conqueror's Haki before King needed to start dodging. Because Zoro couldn't damage King until he got advanced Conqueror's Haki. It's never, like, Rio alone doesn't do it. Because Zoro already couldn't do it prior. Masan Rasat says, I like Sabo more than most people, and the Sabo upscaling is blasphemous. I get that Sabo is very popular, so people want him to be strong. I think he could, let me be clear, I think he could get a big power-up. Okay, if I'm being very honest, Sabo versus Akainu, it could make sense because Sabo could get a really big power-up in the final war or something like that, right? Because, like, in Wano, you know, Luffy at the start of Wano was probably weaker than Sabo is right now, probably. But Luffy by the end of Wano was like Yonko level. So you can get major power-ups by the end of an arc. I'm just saying Sabo right now, I just can't fathom how he would get to Akainu's level. Because it's like, fruit-wise, his fruit is just inferior to Akainu's. So it would have to be like Haki-wise, but Sabo's not a Conqueror's Haki user. XDN00 says, how did Green Bull beat King then? Either the Admirals have Conqueror's Haki, which I don't know if they do, or it's like you can pierce King's skin with advanced armament Haki, but not necessarily damage it. But then from what it looked like from the panel, Green Bull was just able to, like, it was more so his devil fruit than anything. So once he'd pierced King's skin, then he was like draining him or something like that. I don't know. We don't know the details of it, but at the end of the day, like, he's an admiral, right? So it's like we saw that he beat that he's stronger than King. Mike Jordian says Morj Sabo hate is almost the same level as law hate. I'm just asking questions here, man. I asked a very simple question, which is like, how would Sabo damage King? And I've not gotten an answer yet. I don't think that's Sabo hate. I think that's just like, I think that's just a very straightforward question, because we know that in terms of hockey, armament alone, you know, like Zoro's armament couldn't do it. You needed advanced conquerors hockey. Like, to be very clear, that seems very consistent with right now. We have seen Luffy, Zoro, Lucci, and Kaku all try and hurt these Lunarians with the best hockey that they can put out, right? They've not used advanced conquerors as far as we've seen, but, you know, Luffy's attacks aren't working right now. Zoro's attacks aren't working right now. Armament alone doesn't seem to cut it. I think that's, like, been made fairly clear about the Lunarians, so I'm just like, Sabo can't do it with hockey. Fire's not going to do shit against King. King's Fire would do shit against Sabo, because we already saw that interaction with Akainu, so I just don't really get the argument. Knut Worgen, thanks for 5. What if Mihawk beats S-Hawk, then decides to raise him as his son in the epilogue? Oda has foreshadowed this. Also, how is Shanks not a snitch? I don't think Shanks is a snitch. Leave Shanks alone. I don't know what the foreshadowing is, but I believe you. Teeping Tom says Morj refuses to acknowledge the pipe. That's true. Lunarians are weak to pipes. Talha, thanks for the 279. King turned flames on and off way before Zoro advanced conquers Saki. Turned flames on and off way before Zoro. Yeah, but it was implied towards the end of the fight that King was now scared of taking Zoro's attacks even with flames on. Therefore, it seems to be implied to be advanced conquers Haki related. Justin Holland, thanks for the 2. Do you think Akainu is conquers Haki? I think Akainu might have developed it now. All right. I think we're stuck. Who's fighting the other Gorosei? Okay, let me ask you this. Who fights Figarland? Let's start with that. Let's start with this question. Who fights Figarland? Who fights Figarland? Let's start with that question. Wait, how's the Nuggets game going? Please don't... Oh, shit, the Heat are up? There's no fucking way. And Bam Adebayo's the one that's doing it? This is insane. Alright. I think Dragon will fight Imu, but I don't think he's gonna beat Imu. Captain Face, thanks for the 5. Thanks, Morj. I get it. Falling felt like a somewhat forced, easy plot device. It was really... I'm not gonna lie, I'm being kind of light here because I really like Chainsaw. I think with the series you love, like with series you love, you like look the other way for a lot of shit for like a while, right? For me, that falling shit is kind of like, if you threw that into something like any other series, I would be criticizing the shit out of it. Because it's Chainsaw Man, I'm almost being like biased in a positive direction to try and be a little lighter on it. But the falling stuff is really fucking forced. It is just like the most on the nose. You say an easy plot device. It's the most on-the-nose plot device I've ever seen for, like, character writing. Not ever, but it's just really... It's honestly kind of cringe. Asa's realizations don't feel as natural as early part 2. I agree. That's just where I'm at. I hope that that's not indicative of the rest of the part. Because I think that the early writing of part 2 is really, really good. Please do Chainsaw Man streams. Maybe Thursday. Who knows? Okay, let's do a poll then. Between Shanks or Dragon for Figarland. Who defeats Figarland? Shanks, Dragon. Billy Wob says Jimmy Crickets is his new name. I've seen a lot of people saying that, like, if the Heat win this, then it's like one of the greatest playoff performance, like Jimmy Butler carrying this team to a ring. Jimmy Butler played great, but only really in the first round. He was still good in the second round. And he's still like good each round. It's just he only played great the first round. Since then, it's kind of just like, yeah, he's the best player on this team, but I definitely don't get the sense that he's carrying this team. Holy shit, this poll is really tight. This is like, it's been 50-50 for a bit. I'm going to give it 10 seconds. Kurokami Najima says Shanks one. No. Nathan Opsai says, isn't Shanks going to be dead? Here's the thing. So the way it was made to sound like, it sounds like the Holy Knights are about to go on the offensive. I think Dragon made it sound as though the Holy Knights are about to start attacking things. Basically, like they're going to head out of Marijua and start making their way in the real world, basically. So they're not going to be holed up there in Marijua, it sounds like, because he was concerned about them making their move. To me, that makes it seem as though there's now going to be opportunity for anyone to run into the Holy Knights. Man, this is hard. Okay, so I'm going to give it 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And it seems like Shanks takes it just slightly. Let me ask an alternative question. Will Shanks defeat a Gorosei? Wait. Let me ask this. Will Shanks and Dragon fight? Defeat a Gorosei. Shanks will. Okay, let's see if we can narrow it down like this. Schmike the Melts, thanks for the 2. Morj, I love you. Tell me what you hope to accomplish in life. That's a very broad question. I'll just tell you a short-term goal of mine, which is I hope to make an independent film within the next several years, basically. That's a short-term goal that I have. Okay. So most people think that Dragon will fight a Gorosei. You know what? I'm going to roll with that then. If most people think that Dragon will fight a Gorosei, a decent number of people think that Shanks will fight a Gorosei, but way more people think that it's important for Dragon to fight a Gorosei. So I'm going to roll with this then. I'm going to say that Dragon fights Marcus. I'm not going to roll with that Marcus betrays Im theory just yet. I'm going to say Dragon fights Marcus. I'm going to give Shanks to Figarland. We just need someone to fight Top Man now. Who fights Top Man? Give me some offers for Top Man. This is just our best shot at trying to put some shit together. So who's fighting Top Man? James Rogazino says list good guys. All right, let me list some good guys out here. Here's our word bank, all right? Word bank of good guys. All right? So you guys get your reminders. We've got... Wait, Luffy, Zoro, Sanji are all out of the picture. No, we can keep them in the picture. Because, like, maybe they get used multiple times. Dragon, Shanks, I'll say Law, I'll say Kid, I'll say other Straw Hats, Jinbei, Frankie, Robin, Brooke, Chopper, Usopp, Nami, Sabo, Ivankov, Morley, Karasu, the ferret guy on the Revos. I don't think Bella Betty fights anyone, right? Allies, we've got Yamato. Like, how deep do I go here? Like, am I listing Momonosuke? Marco? Does Marco get like a 1v1? Do I count Blackbeard here? Does Blackbeard fight someone? I throw Blackbeard. Not a good guy, but might beat a world government person. Shanks. I can't believe I listed Blackbeard before I remembered Shanks. Oh, we could say Fujitora? I don't know. This is hard. Kobe, Smoker. I'm not a Kobe believer at this point. I can't see Kobe beating anyone on this list. Do you think Kobe's beating Kizaru or Green Bull or Seraphim Doflamingo or some shit? Kobe literally right now is I can't stress this enough. Kobe right now is carrying around a metal ball and chain with 2 hands. He is struggling to lift a metal ball and chain. He needs 2 hands to carry it around. It's not like a Kairoseki ball and chain as far as we know. It's just a regular metal ball and chain. And he's currently trapped because of that. He's running around with it with 2 hands. I think Kobe will be an admiral in the epilogue, post all of this, but I don't see it right now. Felix C, thanks for being a Yonko tier member for 7 months. Can you name the short film Dramatic Tension? It will certainly have dramatic tension. J Press B, thanks for 5. Dofi and Boa is definitely going after the Celestials. Do you think the other warlords have a history with the Celestials too? That's an interesting point. I mean, we know that Kuma does. But the Kuma Seraphim seems to be obedient so far. Okay, Macro, I asked who's fighting top man. Marokets is bottom man. That's very funny. Oh shit, I gotta put down the Grand Fleet members. Do Grand Fleet members count? Cavendish. I'm just putting on Cavendish, Bartolomeo, and Sai. I don't know who the fuck else. I'll put Bellamy down. I don't know who else is fighting. I'll put Garp. Okay. Who's fighting top man? Do we have any good offers for who's fighting top man? I don't see anything. See Korea. I don't see anything. Joe, thanks for the 5. I think Kaido will come back in the final war to challenge Luffy, and then Zoro blitzes him and cuts his head off. ZKK is still alive. Alright, you keep praying. Maybe the raid can fail while we're at it. God of Law, top man versus Trafalgar Law. Momonosuke doesn't even know how to use a sword last we saw him. Reichiya says, let's not forget the Sariyama alliance. I mean, I imagine lots of characters are going to come in and help, like Dalton and stuff, but I don't imagine that they get, like, matchups, you know? I gotta throw in Kong. Yeah, I gotta throw in Kong. Shit, that's like another Admiral level fighter that we all forgot about. Not all, obviously, people remembered, but it's just like is like the world government's just so fucking stacked, it's crazy. They literally have admirals that we forget about at this point, you know? I don't think Kong is admiral level just because he's older than Garp. So if Garp is already, you know, if we imagine that Garp's doing a good job against Aokiji. But imagine if Garp was even older than he is right now. And Kong probably wasn't even as strong as Prime Garp. So, it's tricky. Rayleigh, I gotta throw Rayleigh in as an option. Okay, we'll throw Rayleigh in. What color green was it? Was it this green? Yeah. Yeah, this is hard. I don't know. Who fights Top Man? We didn't get any good options. Who fights Top Man? I don't know who's fighting Top Man. Okay, I'll give you a few options for who fights Top Man. Alright, I'll do a poll. Who fights Top Man? I'll say Blackbeard. I'll say Sabo. I'll say I could put Inuarashi Nekomamushi. Are they gonna get fights too? Who else on here makes sense? I could put Shanks. No, we kind of covered. We said Shanks is fighting for Garland. I could put Law. I could put Kid. Let's see. Cigar Verks, thanks for the 5. Where's Blackbeard's crew and bad characters? I believe most of the Navy will revolt against the world government. Once Imu's out, I don't know how people like Akainu is going to follow him. I think, my opinion is basically we fight the Navy before. I agree that there'll be a parting of ways. I still think that it'll be the Straw Hats versus the Navy first, and then it'll be Straw Hats versus the world government. Shit, no one knows who's gonna fight Top Man. Fuck it, we're saying Law fights Top Man. We're just gonna say Law fights Top Man. I don't know why, but it's just the way things have to be. Law fights Top Man. Okay, let me do another poll. That is a kind of an important poll. Law is a D, that's true. Does Kid fight anyone? Important. Yes. No. Does Kid fight anyone important? Ikioi no Rafa, thanks for the 5. I feel like the Grand Fleet was established too early in an arc where the main villain was not very strong in the grand scheme of things. No one's strong. Yeah, but I actually... Okay, so this might be controversial. I'm of the opinion that the Grand Fleet is... I think they're supposed to be generally weaker than the Straw Hats, which is why Oda did it that way. I don't think that's controversial to say, but I think that, like, genuinely, if you look at the strongest member of the Grand Fleet, right? Probably Cavendish, I think most would say. Robin would destroy Cavendish. I mean, she literally did. What am I talking about? Yeah, like the gap between Robin and Cavendish is fairly big, you know? She beat him pretty effortlessly. Like, I would take Frankie over Cavendish. I would take, obviously, Jinbei over Cavendish, you know? I think, like, Brook versus Cavendish, I think it's... Scaling Brook is very difficult. It's very difficult to scale Brook, but, because he has no 1v1 fights. He has good showings against Big Mom, but everyone kind of gets a good showing against Big Mom. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't matter who the fuck you are. Like, you can be Frankie riding a motorcycle and you get a good showing against Big Mom. So it's kind of like... Brook's too hard to scale. But you get what I'm saying? I feel like the idea is that the Grand Fleet are supposed to be... They're below the Straw Hats, right? They provide them strength in numbers. There's some solid commanders and stuff like that to take on other low-level fighters. But the Straw Hats are ultimately supposed to be the stars of the show. So I think, like, we'll never get a scenario where the Grand Fleet are taking out stronger members, stronger opposing fighters than the Straw Hats themselves are. Jolly D. Joestar, thanks for the 2. Can I send a link of my matchup idea? No, I don't know what this link is. People are saying Kid doesn't fight anyone important. Is the majority? Alright, I guess Kid's off the fucking list. Let me just cross him off right now. So Kid doesn't fight anyone. Alright, there we go. Right, JWP, thanks for being a Yonko tier. Oh, thanks for being a Pirate King member for 6 months. Holy shit. Kid is probably dead. LMAO, bro's whole crew was unconscious and sunk into the sea. Yeah, but shit like that happens in One Piece and people don't die, so it's like, I'm not assuming they're dead, but it's just like, maybe out of the story. In which case, why was he written? Why? Why did he waste our time? Cigar Verk, thanks for the 2. Egghead is the Straw Hats versus Navy. Only Green Bull and Akainu left. That's possible. So you guys want me to take out Kizaru right now? You guys want me to say Kizaru's out of the picture right now? Schmike the Melts, thanks for the 2. The new Spider-Man movie had Indian Spider-Man 10 out of 10. I was seeing stuff about that on Twitter. I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. Remix King, thanks for the 2. Morj, who wins Red, Blue, and Green versus Straw Hat Fleet? You're saying Akainu, Aokiji, and Green Bull, obviously. So they would destroy the Straw Hat Fleet. Oh, I forgot about Yuruj. I'm not including Yuruj. Does Sanji get a fight? Yeah, he fights Peter. Alright, who fights the Holy Knights? This is too hard. How do we do any of these? Who the fuck is fighting who? This is too difficult. Who's fighting... How the fuck are we supposed to guess who fights Seraphim Kuma? How do we guess who fights Seraphim Crocodile? There's so many characters. This is fucking impossible. How the fuck was I supposed to guess, like, if we're looking at Wano and we're looking at, like, the matchups there, it's like, Nekomamushi ended up fighting Perospero. Who had that on their Wano guessing game, like, list, or whatever, right, for matchups? Like, this is too hard. Outside of the top group, this is a stupid stream. This is a stupid idea for, how are we supposed to guess anything? This is too early. There's 9 Holy Knights, we haven't seen any of them. There's 7 Seraphim, I don't even know if they're going to be important by the end of the story. How strong are they going to be? What is this? How do we do any of this? This is impossible. This makes no sense. Whose idea was this? Jozu? And look at this. People are still making up random names to throw on the list. You think Jozu's going to be fighting someone in the final war and that's going to be a matchup that we focus on? I don't know what to do. Okay. Drastic measures. All right, we're gonna take some drastic measures here. All right, we're gonna say all the Holy Knights. Wait. All the Holy Knights. All right, they fight the Revolutionaries. Wait, but then why is Shanks fighting Figarland? That doesn't add up. None of this adds up. Who's fighting? Okay, let's start simple. Who's fighting? Who is fighting Seraphim Doflamingo? No. Who is fighting Seraphim Mihawk? How about that? No. Who is fighting? Maybe the current Seraphim we have on Egghead are defeated here, and then the Seraphim that are still waiting on Marishua, they get to grow up to be adults. Is that crazy? Does that make any sense? People are saying I gotta add Katakuri? Joshua Ayala, thank you. I think the Seraphim will end under the care of King after gaining autonomy at the end of the story. King's not... Why would King babysit all these Seraphim? Strahd Shako, thanks for the 2. You're in over your head on this one. Pivot waifu tier list. Well, we're not going to do that, but I literally don't know. Kevin N says, I mean, Shanks has a whole crew. So the God's Knights are defeated by Shanks' crew, and then Shanks loses to the Blackbeard pirates. So the God's Knights were created to lose to Shanks' crew? Does that make any sense? Dragon versus Figarland, Red Hair Pirates versus Holy Knights. This is too hard. Okay, let me ask this. Backing up a second, alright? Do you guys think that it's going to happen more so in groups? So like we could get something like all of the red-haired pirates versus the Holy Knights, or... You know, what's interesting is Shanks has... There are 9 Holy Knights, and Shanks' crew is 9 people. But then what are the Revolutionary Army members doing? You know? What are the Revolutionary Army members doing? I thought this would, like... In my mind... I was like, if we lay out all of the bad guys and we lay out like all of the good guys, we'll probably be able to mix and match pretty well. But I have no clue who's going to fight Seraphim Crocodile. Because it's like, Oda could play the line of like, okay, let's do callbacks to past storylines, so maybe Robin gets to fight Seraphim Crocodile and get revenge. Maybe Law gets to fight Seraphim Doflamingo. Or maybe it's just arbitrary. Maybe it's just whoever would make a fun fight gets that fight, you know? Revolutionary Hawkeye says Shanks is cool with the Gorosei. Why would they fight? Because you guys voted for it. Oh no, you voted for Garland, but 50% almost if you guys voted for Shanks fighting, I believe it was Marcus. Yeah. Shit. Crocodile versus Seraphim Crocodile? I mean, maybe the Seraphim fight the original versions. To me, that's like a boring matchup. It's kind of just like, why even write it in? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, do we do by groups? Like, we say all the revolutionaries fight the Holy Knights? Do we say all the red-haired parts fight the Holy Knights? Or are we saying it's all split up? Like, one Strahd gets, like, a Holy Knight, one Strahd's fighting a Seraphim, one Strahd's fighting the Gorosei. Like, that's the tricky part about this. Ricky Servant says, why wouldn't Zoro fight for Garland? I think that's possible. I think just more people are leaning towards V Noose Juro from what I've seen. Okay. Let's start with this. Do we think... Let me do a poll. Joe, thanks for the 2. What will the Celestial Dragon's punishment/fate be? I think that just the warrior Celestial Dragons will get defeated. I think a lot of the normal Celestial Dragons will be stripped of their titles, etc., but be forced to reform and learn from their ways. Because we've seen that many Celestial Dragons... Yes, they're very, very, very bad people, obviously. But, and this is something I think I've talked about in the past podcasts, and I think a bit in the past streams, but I think one of the key things that we learn from characters like Mjosgård is that just being... It's not that the Celestial Dragons have, like, evil blood in their like, terrible genes or something like that, right? I think One Piece even rebels against the idea of, like, evil being passed down from parent to child just inherently through blood. The reality is with the Celestial Dragons is that they're raised in environments where they are told from birth that they are perfect, godlike beings, and that it is right and correct for them to treat everyone that's not a Celestial Dragon like dirt. Like, they're literally raised to not have empathy, right? So what we see is that as soon as that bubble of theirs, metaphorically, literally is popped, we see with Mjosgård where he's forced to experience empathy and kindness from someone that he views as just a fish, as like, dirt, scum, whatever. Once he has that experience, you can learn and change. I think that was a very important point for the Celestial Dragons. I think Mjosgård is low-key one of the most important characters in the story. It is a real tragedy that he's gone. But because of that, I think that is a sign that in the future, like, I think some Celestial Dragons, like Charlos, they're just meant to be bad forever, right? But then some Celestial Dragons, I believe, I wouldn't be surprised if the good majority of them, Oda doesn't, like, punish them, but he instead strips them of everything and then forces them to just experience life with the rest of humanity, and, maybe there's change down the line or something like that, or some degree of reform or something along those lines with them, Let's see. Will these Will a bunch of different characters fight Holy Knights, or more so a group? Example, red-haired pirates. Random matchups, group versus group. So do you think that to understand this question, do you think that the Holy Knights, is this going to be a big matchup between, like, the 9 Holy Knights versus the 9 Straw Hats, or the 9 Holy Knights versus the 9 red-haired pirates, or the 9 Holy Knights versus the Revolutionary Army? Or do you think it's going to be a bunch of mix and match shit? Jolly D Joestar says, please accept my endgame matchup link. Alright, fine. Send it. He said please. JWP, thanks for the 5. Aren't there more Seraphim than people who can even injure the Seraphim? That is a... That is actually a great point. Aren't there... I didn't even think about it like that. Aren't there more Seraphim than people... That is a great point. That's just a funny way to phrase it. Yeah, I don't know if we have 7 people that can hurt a Seraphim. Right now we have got the top 3 strongest Straw Hats going at the Seraphim, and they haven't done shit. So that's actually a really good point. And we still... This is so fucking crazy. I don't think I've had a stream where where we've all been this out of whack in terms of trying to guess the future, which is exciting for the end of the story, don't get me wrong. But I was asking who's going to fight Marcus. You guys are split down the line between Dragon and Red Hair. I'm asking who's fighting for Garland. That's like another hard split. I'm asking who's fighting, the last Gorosei member, Top Man. That was a hard split. I'm just asking a broad question here of, do you guys think that the Holy Knights are going to be fought by random characters or by a single group? And that is down the line 50-50. This is a very, very, very... I think that, honestly, this is just something that goes to show how unpredictable the rest of One Piece is going to be, which is very, very exciting. Like, who would have guessed that at this stage in the story, we've only got 1 arc to go, and we can't even guess... we can't even confidently guess Zoro's final opponent. I can see why Venus Zoro is a good guess to a lot of people. I would probably maybe put my money on that as well. But usually, like, a little bit down the line, we weren't far into Wano before it was like, okay, Zoro's probably going to fight King, Sanji's probably going to fight Queen. That's pretty clear, right? Here, it's like, we learned about the Flying Six pretty early on. I think most of us were like, yeah, the Strats will probably fight them. We don't know who the Strats are going to fight. We have no fucking idea. This is tricky. Alright, so it looks like random matchups takes it, which makes this much harder to do. Alright. Let's just try and get some names down so we make some progress. I'm going to say Luffy fights Akainu. I'm going to say Zoro or Sanji. I'm just going to say Zoro / Sanji. So either Kizaru is defeated here on Egghead by Zoro and Sanji together, or there's a final battle against the Marines and, like, Sanji beats him. Green Bull, I'm going to say either Zoro or Sanji again. Kong, I'm gonna say Garp fights Kong. Let's say that. Garp slash Sengoku. Let's roll with that. All right, let's keep it moving. We've got Holy Knight 2. Now we're stuck again. I think some of the Straw Hats fight Holy Knights. Some Straw Hats. Alright. Let's say Holy Knights are fought by a mix. Holy Knights are going to be fought by a mix of Straw Hats, Revos, and slash or red hair pirates. Question mark. Let's say that. Now we're narrowing this down pretty well. I'm pretty proud of us. Mostly me. Seraphim Mihawk, Seraphim Doflamingo, Seraphim Hancock, Seraphim Kuma. Oh, we gotta throw Weevil in here in the good guys too. Weevil. I'm gonna say these guys are fought. I'm gonna say the Seraphim are fought by some combination of. I think we can throw Yamato in there. She's a Conqueror's Haki user. Who can realistically fight Seraphim? That's what we gotta ask. Yamato can fight a Seraphim. I think Weevil might be able to fight a Seraphim. I think Fujitora might fight a Seraphim. I think Rayleigh might take out a Seraphim. We're just crossing off names at this point. I think some Sabo? Sabo might fight a Seraphim. How would Sabo hurt a Seraphim? Okay, let's say Hancock fights a Seraphim. I should have put Hancock in good guys too. Let's say Sabo semi fights a Seraphim. Somebody else. All right, there we go. We did a pretty good job here. All right. I think that this works. I like this. I think that this works. NL? I like this. Okay, I'll say maybe Katakuri. Maybe Katakuri or something. Let's throw Katakuri in here. Good enough. Alright, I think we got a pretty good list here. I think we narrowed it. Honestly, if I'm looking at this, I don't think that this is a bad bunch of guesses. Because most of the Strahds cannot realistically fight Seraphim, right? So if the Strahds are fighting people, the Holy Knights probably make more sense. Right? And then the Gorosei, I feel like Zoro and Sanji getting Gorosei matchups makes sense. I think some of the most important characters getting Gorosei matchups makes sense. Which means that some of the Holy Knights need to be filled out, being taken out by other characters. So like, Shanks versus his dad. Maybe some Revolutionary Army members getting Holy Knights. Then I think the Seraphim are probably going to be... The Seraphim just pose a unique problem because only a certain number of characters can actually beat them. So I think Yamato or Rayleigh or some shit like that makes some sense. Maybe some of them are straight up beaten at Egghead Island. We don't know. Then it kind of... The Admiral matchups are honestly separate, right? That's just a separate thing because Luffy, Zoro, and Sanji could fight Admirals and then still get their World Government matchups later. I think that still works. I don't know. Alright, guys. Do we have any final questions? Because we, I think once we really started doing Order of Elimination, I think when somebody, I forget who said it, but somebody said, the Seraphim, like, how many characters can actually even fight Seraphim? Once somebody said that, I was like, okay, that probably makes things a bit easier because you know that only the strongest characters or characters with the least extreme offensive abilities can be fighting the Seraphim. Which means that the Holy Knights are probably going to be overall... I'm not saying the Holy Knights are weak, but I think, okay, the way I'd put it is this. If we make the assumption that the Gorosei are really strong, right? And we know for a fact that the Seraphim can only be beaten by certain characters with very specific sets of skills, then that means that the Holy Knights are kind of the group where it's probably going to have the largest variety in strength, where maybe some weaker characters like, when I say weak, I don't mean weak. I just mean like weak in the grand scheme of things, right? Like Jinbei, Frankie, Robin. These are all strong characters, but they can't fight Seraphim. They can't fight Gorosei, etc. So maybe the Holy Knights is where they land. Same thing with some of the Revolutionary Army members. I feel like the Holy Knights, if I'm really looking at all three groups, those are the ones that probably are most manageable for more characters, I imagine. Like, I don't think all the Holy Knights are going to be as strong as the Gorosei. Like, Figarland as the leader is probably tippy top tier, one of the strongest characters in the story, but Shanks' father, etc. But I feel like Holy Knights might have a greater variety. Do you think that's a fair assumption to make? I think that might be fair. Just because, like, the Seraphim we know, like, the Seraphim they're all Lunarian based, right? We know that they can't be dealt with by weaker characters. Alright, guys. Kurakami Najima says, I just realized if you add Imu to the Holy Knights, that's 10 people, so maybe the Strats will fight them and fight the Admirals afterwards. I mean, I think that the Strats would fight, like, I think Admirals would happen first. But this is something that I did talk about in a recent video about the Strats endgame matchups. And I said that the fact that Im plus the Holy Knights is 10, Strats with Luffy plus the Strats is 10, that is pretty significant. So, M Mario says Holy Knights are Tobi Roppo level. I mean, they're going to be stronger than that, because the Strats already beat the Tobi Roppo, so the next batch of opponents have to be stronger. But yeah, I just think that the Holy Knights might have a good variety in strength compared to Seraphim, who all seem similarly strong, Gorosei, who are all probably going to be top tier. So that makes sense to me. Alright, guys, let me make sure I didn't miss anything. Otherwise, I'm probably going to wrap stream right now and get to watch the end of this finals. I mean, not the end of this finals, the end of this finals game. Let me just check real quick what the score's at. Damn, the heater's still up. I was not expecting this at all. It looks like it's Jamal Murray's fault. What is he doing? What is he up to? Jamal Murray letting the Nuggets down. In my opinion, Jamal Murray's not that good. I think he's a really great streaky player. When I say not that good, I mean by the... I mean, like, I don't think he's as good as you would want the number 2 on a championship team to typically be, because I think there's a lack of consistency there. But when he's hot, he's like one of the best players in the NBA for sure. But it's just like, it's really on-off, you know? All right, guys. Let us call it a day. I think we actually did make some really random progress towards the end of the stream. We obviously didn't narrow down any specifics, but you can see some stuff that kind of makes sense. I think some broad assumptions make sense. Cigar Verk, thanks for the final question. Thanks for the 2. 5 Elder Planets versus 5 Supernovas space theme. If we wanted to play that game just real quickly, right? So, 5 Supernovas. Are you counting Luffy in that? So you're saying Sanji doesn't get a fight, but Killer does. So then it's like Luffy, Zoro, Kid, Law, and Killer versus the 5 Gorosei. I just don't know if I see that happening, but maybe. You never know. All right, guys. I will call it a day here. And yeah, thanks for tuning in.